Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to go ahead and call our regular BCC meeting to order. Today is November 30th, 2021, and for the official time, it is 2:34. Madam Clerk, or Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Roybal. Commissioner Rudy Garcia. Commissioner Anna Hansen.
Present.
Commissioner Anna Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Hank Hughes.
Here.
And Chair Henry Roybal.
I'm here, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a roll call with all commissioners in attendance, so we do have a quorum. I'm going to move on to item number 1C and 1D, and this is the Pledge of Allegiance and the State Pledge, and then we'll go to the moment of reflection. So if everybody could stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay, next we're going to have our moment of reflection, and from the County Treasurer's Office, we have Mr. Victor Vigil. Thank you, Mr. Vigil. And if we can stay standing, I don't know if any commissioners have any recognitions or moments of silence they do want to bring forward, but we do have our clerk, Miss Catherine Clark, who wanted to do a moment of remembrance as well. Catherine Clark, are you on? Madam Clerk? Okay, we'll go and see if Commissioner Hansen, do you have a moment as well?
I do. I want to recognize and talk about Dave Hickey, who was an influential art critic and one of the lecturers that I had the pleasure to study with at UNM when I was working on my master's degree. He was an amazing human being, very eccentric and very brilliant. Definitely one of the prominent art critics in America. He's written many books. There is no one like him. He belongs in the canon of American nonfiction prose. His wife is also a friend of mine from graduate school, Libby Lumpkins, and I just wanted to recognize him. He also received a MacArthur Foundation grant. He was really a brilliant human being. He wrote a number of books, and so I just wanted to take a moment of silence for him. Not that he would especially appreciate it being the irreverent soul that he was, but I am grateful to have known him in my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hansen. Madam Clerk?
Hi, Chair Roybal. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I wanted to offer my remembrance for two people out in the community. The first is for Veronica Duran. She worked in our office for nearly 12 years, and she recently passed. She started out as a scanning tech, and she was so good that I think the clerk's office snatched her up, and she worked her way all the way up to recording clerk. And I know my clerk staff would like to wish her family deep condolences for her loss. And the next person I'd like to remember is Milton Lopez up in Pecos. He was always very generous with his time and his advice. You know, he always kept saying, "Hita, bring me your signs," and used to take me out to Frankie's and offer good advice, take me to the Matanzas. He really was very generous, a former firefighter and Vietnam vet. And I wanted to offer his 2 daughters, Glenda and Jennifer, and Milton, his son, our condolences.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and for the remembrance of Veronica Duran and Milton Lopez. So if we could have a moment of silence for the individuals that were brought forward. Commissioner Garcia, you have one also?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for whoever who left, for his son, who left family, has been home in San Diego for many years.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Okay, thank you all for bringing these individuals forward to be recognized and ask for the moment of silence. It's appreciated. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 1F, and this is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or requests to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Manager Miller?
the original agenda was posted on November 19th, Friday, November 19th at 5 p.m., and it was amended on Wednesday, November 24th at 4:31 p.m. Those two amendments that occurred on the 24th were item 6D, a joint resolution recognizing the existence of open items related to annexation. That item was added, and item 8E, a resolution identifying Santa Fe County 2022 legislative priorities. That item was also added and the caption updated. And those are the amendments that I have to the agenda.
Thank you, Manager Miller. Any other additions or requests? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so we have an approved agenda. Our next item is 1G, which is the recognition of years of service and new hires. And we have our county manager, Ms. Catherine Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, as you know, we try to recognize employees who've completed a 5-year consecutive years of service with Santa Fe County. We just want to express our appreciation and thank those employees who choose to make their career with Santa Fe County. We also provide them with a little memo and a service pen. So in the Sheriff's Department Administration and Animal Control, James Blazer and Maria Hernandez Andrade both hit 5 years of service on November 14th. In Public Works Solid Waste, Robert Hollingsworth also celebrated 5 years of service on November 14th. And on November 15th, in the Fire Department, Remington Gillum has his 5-year anniversary, and in Community Development, Joseph Montoya on November 26th, 5 years. And then in Public Works, Kimberly Silva with 10 years on November 14th, and Samia Beta in our road maintenance division celebrated 15 years on November 13th. So I just would like to recognize them and thank them for their service to Santa Fe County. Then also we had some new hires. While you've been advertising and we have a lot of open positions and haven't filled as many as we'd like to, we did have in the month of October about 10 new hires, and that's Miranda Salazar in the County Assessor's Office, Juan Torres in the County Clerk's Office as Chief Deputy of Bureau of Elections, and then Sebastian Adamczyk in Community Services as a Program Manager. In Corrections, Jennifer Barella and Eric Pignon. In RECC, the new Director, Bernard Brown. In Public Works Solid Waste, George Maestas, and in the Sheriff's Office, Francisco Concha and Jacob Dupreez as Sheriff's deputies. So I just want to welcome them to Santa Fe County and hope that in 5 years we're recognizing them for still being here in 5 years. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Manager Miller. And I just want to say to the new hires, welcome to Santa Fe County. You know, we look forward to working with you, and we hope that you, we're very happy to see that you've chosen Santa Fe County as your career path. And to our employees that have been here for 5, 10, 15 years, from what I heard, I mean, thank you for your dedicated service to our constituents and to Santa Fe County. Are there any other comments from the board? Okay. Seeing none, once again, welcome to our new hires, and thank you to our dedicated employees that have been here. We're going to go ahead and we need to adjourn temporarily as the Santa Fe County Board of County Commission and start our new meeting as the Board of County Commissioners, just a temporary recess and come back as the Board of Finance. So can I get a motion to adjourn and temporarily and recess to come back as the Board of Finance?
So moved.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Board of Finance. Can I get a roll call, Deputy Madam Clerk?
Of course, Chair Roybal. Commissioner Rudy Garcia. Commissioner Anna Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Hank Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Anna Hanson.
Present.
And Chair Henry Roybal.
I'm here. Thank you. So we have a roll call, and we have all commissioners present. Next, we're going to move on to item number 2C, and this is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or requests to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hughes and a second from Commissioner Hamilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to go on to item number 2D, and this is the County Treasurer's second half report. And from the County Treasurer's Office, we have our esteemed County Treasurer, Ms. Jennifer Manzanares.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Madam Manager. Presenting today our Santa Fe County Treasurer 2021 second half report. I'd like to start by thanking our investment committee members who have diligently attended our meetings this year and guided us through many questions we've had together as a committee, and so thank you very much for that. Yvonne in Finance, I appreciate all of her work. In front of you in your board docs, I believe you can see the first of our report this second half, starting with the Santa Fe County Treasurer's Office challenges. And our Fed fund remaining at net zero, near zero, is what we gather every day from Bloomberg. And Deputy Treasurer and I were talking earlier about a potential rebound in that, possibly March, looking at June. So we keep seeing that projection a little more in the future. We had hoped this quarter, but now with the new variant, we know that there's a lot of questions about what's going forth. And so in terms of our second bullet of investing and reinvesting in this environment, it's made it challenging to buy anything. We've been stuck in that for a while this year, and so we have that challenge in front of us. So we do keep in mind that with the ongoing pandemic and the new variant, that we're very mindful of the environment right now for our investments. We also keep in mind the safety and in post-pandemic office planning, that staff and reconfiguration of the office is very much in line at the Treasurer's Office, keeping that safety in mind. On our fourth bullet, we have, as a challenge for the County Treasurer's Office, retaining cashiers We've had some internal staff placements to where we've had movement or individuals have gone to another position that has opened up. And so right now we're fully staffed with our delinquent team that we're really strategizing on how we're going to approach that, because we know with COVID, a lot of people fell behind, and we want to see a very different report going to the State Department in June. So we're going to pursue active delinquent collections now starting the new year. So we do have our tax rush coming up next Friday. The bills will be going out December 1st. And I want to thank the Commission for really working with us on getting the word out to the community. Santa Fe Bulletin was helpful, so we tried every avenue we could to save some monies on letting the community know that this year the tax delay would be due to House Bill 407. We have added, as a staffing update, customer service specialist who gave our moment of reflection of Victor V. Hill, as well as a quality assurance team member, April Dukes. And we're very thankful for these two positions because we feel the quality, the customer service is first and foremost, so we want to be accurate in our investments as well as how we approach our customers, and having those two on the team, I think is going to be very positive. Okay, next slide, we've got our fiscal agent balance. This is as of October 31st, 2021. We have 41 accounts at $40,993,524.27 at 35 basis points. Currently, we will be sending out again our tax bills this week, and we're anticipating a large balance in December and January. Next slide. In our operations account, we have $168,588,178.63. The core account, $31,092,609.50. Our GOB 1997, $435,224.63. GOB 2011, $1,055,420.04. Our operating bond for 13, $3,624,313.65. GOB 2015, $4,625,084.23. Our GOB 2017, $8,141,613.60. And our GOB 2018, $8,989,938.98. And our GOB 2019, $9,609,593.73. Finally, our GOB 21, $504,281.61. And our housing account, $3,933,898.62. UBS, $40,374,180.21, totaling $300,974,337.43. Within our portfolio, we have diversifications ranging from federal farm credit bonds, to federal national mortgage, federal home loan mortgage. I won't go through all of them. As you can see, they're listed out. We have U.S. Treasury bills, notes, bonds, and government money markets. Other holdings in our LAMB Studio CD, we have $4,748,573.13. Our local CDs total $1,245,000. BNY Mellon, $9,942,472.89. Recently, we had a drawdown of $199,244.68, totaling $15,936,046.02. Finally, our grand total of all holdings, $335,664,442.39. And for our final slide, our estimated annual income with Sunflower Wealth is $1,963,272.75, with UBS at $17,725. That being a total of $1,980,997.75. Finally, at our earnings, if you flip the next page, we've got our L&B Studio CD at 250 basis points, our FICAs 5 to 12 basis points, UBS 1 to 2 basis points, Schwab is at 1, Investment 50 to 275 basis points. Okay, finally, for our 6-month investment strategy, we plan to invest and reinvest in the 2 to 5 year window, attempting a ladder structured portfolio. We would like to invest in coupons with sensible cash flow and invest in Supras or GSEs, government-sponsored enterprises known as Fannie Mae's, Freddie Mac's, with sensible spreads over the Treasury, and invest in instruments valid in our investment portfolio that gives the county, of course, best returns. All as action items, and I yield for questions.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Just a little side note, just like to congratulate Victor Vigil for winning his election. Congratulations, Victor. Very well done. Madam Treasurer, the investment committee, can you tell me who's on the investment committee?
Sure, Mr. Chair, Mr. Commissioner, we have the members from our committee include Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Hamilton. As an alternative, we have Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Roybal has joined us. As a member, we have Manager Miller, County Manager Attorney Schaefer. We have Yvonne from Finance, we have Eric Laux as a community member. And occasionally Elias, our deputy manager, will join us. Actually, he's joined us a lot. He's been very active. Am I missing anyone? And myself.
Thank you.
That's right.
In regards to the tax bills, Madam Treasurer, when are the tax bills due?
They are due December 10th, delinquent after January 10th. So they had to be delayed because of House Bill 407, and they go out now December 1st.
So, Mr. Chair, Madam Treasurer, they'll be going out December 1st, so in 9 days they're actually due?
They're due 9 days late afterwards, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you. On some of those slides, you have UBS. What's UBS? And also, what's BPA?
UBS.
For example, on page, what do they stand for?
Okay, are we on the basis points? Would you like an explanation?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Then also on page, in regards to the general obligation bonds from 97 through 2021, those are actually totals which Santa Fe County still owes on those bonds? Are they outstanding bonds?
Madam Manager, may I have your...
On this report, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, that's the proceeds. So that's what we've sold and have available to do the projects. And then in Yvonne's reports is our debt service payments. So finance makes the payments. The Treasurer's Office invests the proceeds and draws down as we, so say we do a $5 million road project. We issue the bonds. That takes us 2-3 years to pay for it. The Treasurer's Office invests those proceeds until such time as they're needed to pay the contractor to build the road. So that's on this report, and those are bond proceeds for the different years. Or like in the case of the 1997, those can be reserve funds. So you have to have sinking or reserve funds to make payments. So that would be like the 97 and maybe the 2011, but or that could be a project that's still outstanding on the 2011. The rest of them, 97 doesn't have any outstanding project money, but the 11 through 21, 10 years, those are the balances in those. A lot of them are open space or water projects, or road projects. Usually those bond proceeds get spent right away. But water projects like Canyoncito, They take a long time to do. We started selling Canyoncito, we started selling bonds in 2006 or something like that. But those remaining balances are allocated to projects that the board's already approved. And they're just invested until finance will pay the bill and then request reimbursement from the treasurer from the investments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Treasurer, as well as Manager Miller, both of your teams. It's actually great to be a policymaker up here and be with Santa Fe County, because our bond rating and everything else under that is very well correct. And I just appreciate that, sitting up here, once again, to both your teams. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you,
Commissioner, thank
Commissioner
you.
Garcia, and I know that we have had a lot of participation on the Finance Committee meetings, and so I would recommend, you know, if you have an opportunity, you should come to some of those. It'd be good. I think Commissioner Hamilton and myself are the main attendees, and then Commissioner Hanson and Commissioner Hughes are alternatives. But you know, it's open to all the commissioners. It would be good if you'd like to attend some of those. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Treasurer. I recognize this investment strategy is attempting to be as safe as possible with very, very limited choices, and it makes sense. I'm just wondering, and you may not, so it's not meant to be a setup. These reflect some of the few positive things you can try to do. Are there any pitfalls you see that you're trying to avoid in this, you know, it's not really post-pandemic in this pandemic situation with things that are still in flux?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I will ask our Deputy Treasurer to join me for some of the pitfall questions, because with the experience he's had in this, I rely on him a lot to do the work together. And so as I learn from him, pitfalls, we just see a lot of uncertainty. So do you have pitfalls maybe that?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. The biggest pitfall is going to be the ongoing strains that come out of the pandemic. They cause reactions in the market. So I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of the new Omicron virus that came out Thanksgiving Day. It was found, starting yesterday, the markets have reacted pretty negative, and even tanked the oil price down to $67 more or less today so far, from $80. So those are the pitfalls. On the flip side, Fed Chair Powell and Yellen were testifying in front of the Banking Committee today, and he was more in a hawkish mood and said that he'd probably doing double Fed tapering soon, which could increase the interest rates. But again, on the flip side, you got to look at the biggest thing out there is probably stagflation, and that could cause not only buying and holding problems, because they'll start buying back again, but it could cause the economy to completely just stay stagnant. Those are some of just right off the top that could happen in the next month to 3 months.
Well, I appreciate it. It's just we're always talking about this sort of thing to try to see where the balance is, and that's a hard thing to put your finger on. But I just thought a little conversation about it would be interesting. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Schaefer, on this item number D and E, is it appropriate for us to approve those two together or individually?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Madam Treasurer. I believe the only item requiring action, well, actually, they were both scored as action item, and yes, so I would not see any problem approving them both together.
Thank you, Attorney Schaefer. So we're going to go on to item number E, and this is request approval of County Treasurer's 6-month investment strategy. And we have our esteemed Treasurer, Ms. Jennifer Manzanares, again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Again, to recap the 6-month investment strategy, We're looking at investing and reinvesting in the 2 to 5 year window, attempting a ladder structured portfolio, invest in coupons again with sensible cash flow, invest in Supras or GSEs again, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac's government-sponsored enterprises with sensible spreads over the Treasury, and invest in instruments valid in our investment policy that gives the county the best return. For those, we seek approval from the board.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the county treasurer's second half report.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Under discussion, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously, and thank you, Madam Treasurer, for your report. And
Mr. Chair, I think we need another motion because she only,
Yeah, so I'm just going to make
I
a
thought we
second
were doing
motion.
it together. Go ahead, Commissioner Hanson.
I'm going to move to approve the county treasurer's 6-month investment strategy.
second.
Okay, so we have a motion for the 6-month investment strategy and a second from Commissioner Hughes. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thanks again, Madam
Chair,
Treasurer. We
Commission.
appreciate it. Okay, next we're going to go on to item F, and this is the adjournment. So I'd like a motion to adjourn from the Board of Finance and be reconvening as the Board of County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next item on our Board of County Commissioner meeting, and this is item number 3, approval of meeting minutes. 3A is request approval of the October 26, 2021 Board of County Commission meeting minutes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. Yes, I have given my corrections to the stenographer, and it seems that we have 3 commissioners that last names all start with H, Hamilton, Hanson, and Hughes, and sometimes it gets a little confusing. So I was grateful to be able to read them and make those corrections. And with that, I would move to approve with correction.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hanson with correction. She's given it to the stenographer to address the last names of 3 H's getting confused. And a second from Commissioner Hamilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have our consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that commissioners need some additional information on? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Under discussion? Seeing nothing under discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get resolution numbers, please?
Of course, Chair Roybal. 4B is resolution number 2021-099. 4C is resolution number 2021-100. 4D is resolution number 2021-101. 4E is resolution number 2021-102. 4F is resolution number 2021-103.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Madam Clerk. I did have a question. We did go from 91 and 92 and then to 100, is that correct?
We started with 99 and went to
99, okay. I'm
99.
sorry, I heard that incorrectly. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay, so we're on to item number 5, and this is 5A. These are appointments and reappointments. 5A is an appointment of one member to Santa Fe County Water Policy Advisory Committee from Public Works. We have Ms. Angeli Bean.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Water Policy Advisory Committee consists of 12 volunteer seats appointed by the board. While membership is flexible, but when possible, members should be drawn from the following: a member of a water system, a member of an agricultural organization, a member of an acequia association, a member of the Estancia Planning Area, a member of the Galisteo Planning Area, a member of the Northern Planning Area, a member of the Buckman Direct Diversion Board, and members chosen by the Commissioners. Today, staff is recommending the appointment of Mr. Lloyd Groning. He has extensive Western water utility experience, including serving as the Utilities Director of Thornton, Colorado. He also has significant project management and permitting expertise on major water projects throughout the Southwest, including managing the environmental permitting for the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority's San Juan Chama Project drinking water project on the Rio Grande. We believe that the community would benefit greatly from Mr. Groning's background, and therefore staff today recommends Mr. Groning to represent District 5. With that, I will stand for questions.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? Seeing no questions, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would like to move for approval of appointing Mr. Lloyd Groning to the Water Policy Advisory Committee to represent District 5.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hughes and a second from Commissioner Hamilton on the appointment of Mr. Groning. Under discussion, is there any questions, comments? Commissioner Hanson?
I think this is a great addition to the Water Policy Board. I was wondering who is, at the moment, the current representative from the Buckman Direct Diversion Board?
Commissioner Hanson, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, that position is currently vacant. We do not have someone representing. In a previous version of the resolution, it specifically tied that to the public member of the Buckman Direct Diversion Board, and that current member has not been able to serve on the Water Policy Advisory Committee. So that is one of the benefits of having a more flexible appointment process.
I appreciate that. I saw a number of people listed here, and I didn't really recognize anyone from the Buckman. So we'll see what we can do about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Anything else under discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations to Mr. Groning, and we think that he'll be a great addition to our Water Policy Board, so thank you, Ms. Bean, we appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 5B, and this is the appointment of one member to the County Open Lands Trail and Park Advisory Committee, our COLPAC. And from our Growth Management Department, we have Ms. Maria Lohman.
Commissioners, hi, I'm Maria Lohman, Open Space and Trails Planner. County Open Land Trails and Parks Advisory Committee has one vacant position in District 2. Resolution 2011-4, which guides COLPAC, states that members of COLPAC shall be appointed by the BCC based on letters of interest and qualifications, countywide representation, and advice from Open Space and Trails staff. Additionally, the resolution outlines the qualifications that represent diverse backgrounds and varied types of open space, trails, and parks interest. The resolution also outlines that COLPAC membership includes 9 members, 1 from each district and 4 at large. As mentioned before, the vacancy is for District 2. We've had a vacancy in District 2 since the previous member resigned in May. We've advertised this position in the newspaper through word of mouth. We've had lots of help from county staff, getting the word out on email lists, through newsletters, that kind of thing. We also advertised in the Santa Fe New Mexican. We received one application from Christopher Mann from District 2. Staff reviewed this application, and we had a very interesting conversation with Christopher Mann. He's demonstrated he's very effective in his role in conservation and environmental causes through his personal life, and will be a very good addition to the committee at this time. With that, I will stand for questions.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? I'm going to go to Commissioner Hanson since this is in her district.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is an excellent choice, and since it was our only choice, but I'm happy that we have found someone to fill District 2 on Colpack. And so with that, I would like to move for the approval of Christopher Mann as representative to Colpack.
Second?
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. Under discussion, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Blumen.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 6. And these are miscellaneous action items. The first one is 6A. And this is to request approval, first to request approval to utilize the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchase Agreement for the purchase of equipments for the county's chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear and explosives, CBRNE Energy Response Vehicle in the amount of $279,526.08, inclusive of New Mexico GRT. And second, to the delegation of signature authority to the county manager to sign the purchase order. And from the fire department, we have our fire chief, Ms. Jackie Lindsay, and also we have from purchasing, Mr. Bill Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, I apologize for my tardiness.
Perfect timing, sir.
Catch my breath. Bear with me. Thank you. So the fire department, emergency management, is requesting to utilize a Sourcewell contract, which we are a participating member, the county, to purchase the chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives in the amount of $279,526.08. We have a quote of items, but there are various items to help this organization to respond to hazardous materials such as radioactive material, nuclear, and explosives. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. I did want to ask, do we have a vehicle similar to this one that we're replacing, or is this just a new purchase?
Mr. Chair, this is actually equipment for that piece of that vehicle.
I see.
So it equips the vehicle with these items,
Gotcha.
which
So-
are PPE equipment and actual detectors and devices, and
Okay, so this is
as
something
I
that
said,
we didn't-
Ghostbuster stuff.
Yeah. So this is something we didn't have before, is that correct?
I think it's been pretty limited, Mr. Chair, and I would defer to Commissioner Hamilton if she'd like to respond.
My best understanding is this is a combination of new equipment and updates. And
Modernized.
So it's an expansion of capabilities and a replacement of some equipment.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that we're taking all that into consideration and being proactive. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Taylor, what does this vehicle look like, by the way, when I see it out there?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I do not know what the vehicle looks like.
It's,
If it's similar to a
It's an
EMT
18
vehicle, emergency
18-wheeler
ambulance type
looking
vehicle.
It's just, it's a big 18-wheeler looking kind of haul it around.
So it's
You can go into it and set up a command center. It's full of equipment. So it's hauled, it's a trailer with a cab to haul it.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Garcia, I think they had it at the site of the county picnic on site, that vehicle that had the equipment. So it's almost like a big RV, is
Mr.
what I
Chair,
recall.
Mr. Taylor, Commissioner, is this the unit that actually where they give the vaccines? Is that the same vehicle?
No.
No, it's not.
No, that was the old mobile health van we had. This is like a dedicated unit for response to a variety of
Where's the vehicle?
emergency situations.
Where's the vehicle stored, Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, I don't know exactly where it's located. I'm assuming it's at, here in Santa Fe at one of the fire stations. I'm not.
Mr.
not
Chair,
sure.
Commissioner, they have some at the main public safety complex, and they have some of their emergency vehicles up in Milwaukee. And I am sure that Martin would be delighted to give you a tour of all of the equipment we have.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Taylor, thank you, Manager Miller. I will set up an appointment with Chief Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I did get a tour from Mr. Vigil recently, and I think most of his vehicles are in the old fire station that's next to the state penitentiary. And yeah, this was a pretty impressive vehicle, and I'm sure that the equipment needs updating regularly because it's a lot of sophisticated stuff.
Absolutely, I agree. Commissioner Hanson?
Yes, I just want to comment that I think that it is really important for us to have this rad and has vehicle and all of the accoutrements that go along with it. We live in an extremely unique situation next to a national laboratory that produces lots of nuclear material, and I think it is important that we are able to protect our constituents. So, thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more, Commissioner Hanson. So I'd like to, if there's not any other comments, I'll go ahead and move for approval.
Second.
So a motion from Commissioner Roybal, a second from Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Okay, next we're going to move on to item number 6B, and this is a resolution requesting a budget increase to the clerk filing fees fund 2018 in the amount of $214,000 and $214,200. And from the Finance Division, we have our Director, Ms. Yvonne Herrera.
Good afternoon, Chair Commissioners. The Clerk's Office is requesting a budget increase of $214,200 in the Clerk Recording Fund to modernize historical records to digital format for ease, efficiency, and preservation. In addition, funds will be used to upgrade the Clerk Track Web online services. The upgrade to the Clerk Track Web will allow constituents to purchase records directly from the online service instead of using the current lengthy mail-in request or in-person pickup. Finally, some of the funds will be used to supplement the clerk fees fund operational budget. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Yvonne, and I think that'll be a great addition and service to the clerk's department. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Quintana, will this actually take care of all the books that we do have that are still haven't been, I guess per se, microfished? Or is this for a portion of the, is this for, so this will take care of all the books that we have that are very old?
Chair Whitewell, Commissioner Garcia, my understanding is that all records, either paper and microfiche, will be converted to digital, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Any other questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and move approval. Oh, did you have a?
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Hamilton? Anything else under discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Sorry.
those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Sorry, Ms. Herrera. We called you Ms. Quintana.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera. Can we get a resolution number, please?
Of course, Chair Roybal. This is resolution number 2021-104.
Thank you, Deputy Madam Clerk. And just for the record, I know Commissioner Garcia was here for the discussion on the equipment on 6A, and he had to step away briefly. Commissioner Garcia, do you want to show that you voted in the affirmative for that equipment? Yes, please. Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to go on to item number 6C. And this is, first of all, to request approval to utilize job order contracting offered through the Cooperative Educational Service and Gordian contracts for construction services to renovate the Public Works Wash Bay facility. And second, give delegation authority for signature to the county manager to negotiate and execute the final terms and conditions of a contract and sign all purchase orders. And once again, from the purchasing department, we have our director, Mr. Bill Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. The Public Works Department has folks scattered around at different locations in Santa Fe. This is an opportunity to renovate a facility at the same campus, Public Works campus off 599 frontage, to facilitate those staff and consolidate their operations. The use of the job order contracting, or CES contracts, allows us to negotiate with the contractor specifically of what we need at the facility. It streamlines the procurement. It also, during these times, they're held at the pricing that they bid with the CES contracts back last year. And so we're able to get a better price for those services. And so we're asked before the board now to ask if we could please be allowed to utilize the CES contract, being that it's over $250,000 budget for that contract. It was approximately about a little bit more than about $900,000 project is estimated on it for them to bring it in within that budget. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Any questions, Commissioner Hanson?
I think this is great that we can use pricing that we've gotten in the last year, especially considering inflation and all the things that are happening. So I'm happy to hear this, and I think Public Works is being consolidated. I can remember when Public Works was on Galisteo in 2008, and you know, we have come a long way, and we have a beautiful Public Works facility, and the more that we can do to improve it, I think that is fantastic. So if I may, I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Under discussion, any other comments or questions, Commissioner Hanson?
Yes, I also want to say I'm proud to have the Public Works District building in my district.
Oh, we can't have that, no.
I was going to vote for it.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second, and a little bit of humor to boot. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Thank you.
opposed, same
Oops.
sign.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Taylor.
Chair, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're moving on to 6D, and this is the last item under item number 6, and this is a resolution or a joint resolution recognizing the existence of open items related to annexation in establishing negotiating teams to develop non-building proposals to resolve those items. And we have our County Commissioner, Miss Anna Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I especially want to recognize our county attorney for all of the work that he has done on this. I also want to recognize that there are 2 resolutions on this, and the second one is the final one, and that is the one that has Councilor Jamie Cassett also on this resolution that she was just recently added. So I wanted to make sure that everyone saw that. I think it's good that we're bringing this forward now. This way the city can bring it forward at their December 7th or 8th meeting. I'm not sure exactly what day Wednesday is of next week, and it is the last meeting of the year. So even though it is a very general resolution, it covers many of the points, and it is general so that we can add in and discuss many things that need to be discussed during this time. And with that, I would like to move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hansen. Do I hear a second?
Second?
A second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying, under discussion, Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can somebody explain to me where exactly these boundaries are? Because I don't have a map, and the map wasn't submitted to us.
What boundaries are you asking?
I'm sorry, are we on annexation?
Yes.
No, this is, the item 6D. Annexation and establishing negotiating teams to develop a non-binding proposal to resolve those items.
One second.
And it's the second one. It's the one that has introduced by Councilor Signe Lindell and Councilor Jamie Cassett.
Yeah, so it actually, Mr. Chair, refers to a different section of the annexation area. So what area is that?
Where are you on the resolution?
Hold on, let me find it.
There is this one area where it says, whereas those open items include but not necessarily limited to annexation of the remainder of Area 1, which is north of West Alameda between Kainapal and Siler, going north, and then drainage improvements to West Alameda, and then fire protection and EMS services for Area 2, 4, and 18. 2 and 4 are areas over in the Airport Road area.
Where, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, where off of Airport Road?
I have the map in my office at home. It's, a lot of it is, let's say, west of Airport, or east of Airport Road. I never can quite make sure. So Airport Road is here, and a lot of 2 and 4, I believe, are both in my district. And they could possibly be in Jamie Cassette's district of District 4. And District 3 in the
So as
city.
far as county districts, sorry to intervene, Commissioner Garcia, but as far as county districts, are these all within your district, or is there any other commissioners?
Well, the EMS service is, the 2 and the 4, I believe, are in my district, and Area 18 is in Commissioner Hamilton's district. And what we do, and the reason this is listed here, is at the moment we provide fire and EMS services respectively to each of those areas. So in Area 18, the city has the ability to provide services to Area 18, which is off of Hyde Park Road in that area. And in 2 and 4, which is now annexed into the city, we have been providing fire and EMS services because we have more facilities to provide that there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, so areas 2 and 4, can you give me some examples of street names, subdivisions where areas 2 and 4 are?
I'm going to have to go to County Attorney Schaefer, because I don't have a map in front of me right at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Generally speaking, areas 2 and 4 would be north of Airport Road, east and south of New Mexico 599, and generally, I would say to the west of the traditional village of Agua Fria. So I have a map up on my screen. I can't share it, Commissioner, but if you want to come around and look at it, you're more than welcome to. This is from the City of Santa Fe website concerning annexation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. Thank you, Attorney Schaefer. I guess the reason, I just have a question. Did anybody check with Public Safety, Sheriff's Department, or the Fire EMS, or the RECC, Regional Emergency Communications Center, because they need to be aware of what our public safety individuals will be patrolling now, and a fire. If we have a fire in Hyde Park, our nearest fire station, if there is a fire in Hyde Park, is Hawaii, Agua Fria. So did we check with our public safety officials, Sheriff's Department, as well as the EMS Department?
Mr. Chair, we have been servicing these areas respectively for the last 10 to 12 years since the beginning of annexation. So nothing has really changed in all of that time. And we are still, the city is still providing services to Area 18, and we are still providing services to Area 2 and 4 and the county. And so this is something that needs to be negotiated to either to continue like that or to change. But since we do not have a fire station, like you said, near Hyde Park, has been the EMS and fire service has already been being provided for the last, I don't know how many years.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So, because I understand that this is actually appointing the two commissioners, Hanson and Hughes, to participate in negotiations with the city, and that will be determined as to who, memorandum of understanding, what's going to happen. And during that time, we can actually meet with our sheriff, as well as the Regional Emergency Communication Center and any public officials at that time.
Of course.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Any other questions or comments? We do have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get a resolution number?
Of course, Chair Roybal. This will be resolution number 2021-105.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we're on item number 7, which is matters of public concern. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the commission? If you're joining by WebEx, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record. And if you're a call-in participant, please hit *6 and unmute yourself and state your name for the record. Once again, I'm going to ask, is there anybody from the public that would like to address the commission?
William,
Yes.
William Me would like to speak.
Yeah, from Agua Fria Village.
Okay, can you state your name for the record, sir?
Yes, William Me, M-E-E, 2073 Camino Samuel Montoya, Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I'm president of the Agua Fria Village Association. And I would just like to thank the commission for approving the resolution for the annexation. You know, the settlement annexation agreement hasn't been complied with the city since 2018. and this resolution will greatly help the citizens that have been left in limbo. I recently wrote a opinion piece for the New Mexican, and I got a number of comments on it from neighborhoods from Coyote Ridge, Sol y Lomas, saying that, you know, they have been treated just awfully by city staff because they don't believe they're in an annexed area. And so I think there does need to be a education of the you know, dispatch staff, and as far as even city police officers refuse to respond to requests in the area. We have that also off of West Alameda. So I think this resolution can help alleviate some of that. Of course, the cancellation of the fire station on the frontage road at New Mexico 599 and the and Meadows, if we could get that back on schedule,
Sexy.
I think that would help a lot. And I think some of these areas are going to take an actual community plan like we do in the county to help facilitate any development, because a lot of these lots are landlocked from roads, from utilities. And, you know, it's because there was piecemeal annexation for so long that many of the lots were just cut off from services. And so it's going to be a massive job. And I think it may affect up to 40,000 people on that southwest side of town. So, you know, it's to the credit of the county commission, Commissioner Hansen, and the city councilors. I know Councilor Casat is very interested in what's happening along Airport Road and also Rufina Street. And so I look forward to having some real successes come out of this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mee, and good to see you, sir. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to address the commission from the public? Daniel or Tessa, do we have anybody else that has signed up to make comments on this item or under public concern?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close item number 7, matters of public concern, and we'll move on to item number 8, and this is matters from the county manager. The first one is 8A, which is COVID-19 updates. 8B is miscellaneous updates, and then 8C will be legislative updates. Manager Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. As far as COVID updates, there's a new COVID variant, the Omicron. I think the Deputy Treasurer mentioned that. It's been identified and was identified in South Africa last week. It has spread quickly to European countries. The World Health Organization on Monday said that the variant poses a very high global risk that could have severe consequences, given that some of its mutations may sidestep immune protection and suggest greater transmissibility. The South African doctor who first raised the alarm over the new strain said that thus far the associated symptoms seen have been extremely mild. And while scientists say there is reason to be concerned over Omicron, they stress there is still little that we know, or a lot that we don't know about it, including whether the variant is indeed more contagious, or whether it causes more severe disease, or what its effects on vaccine efficacy may be. But obviously that's something we'll be watching and adopting any kind of changes to our internal policies as we move forward, and anything that happens at the state level. Both Santa Fe County and New Mexico continue to see a rise in the number of COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. In the past 2 weeks, and this is averages from November 9th through November 22nd, and I know we're a week past that, but I don't have the averages including this past week. But our positivity rate has almost doubled. The cases per 100,000 are 39.6. The positivity rate is 7.85%. However, Santa Fe County percent of residents with at least one shot is 97.1%, and those with the series completed is 84.3%. Community services continued to do staff trainings. They completed 122, they did 22 trainings for 122 staff members, and those trainings were held from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that was on vaccinations, kind of facts versus fiction. We also had several vaccination events over the past 2 weeks. We've had them for Santa Fe County employees at different Santa Fe County locations, including the administrative building on Catron, Public Works, and Public Safety. We still have upcoming community events in Madrid and at Tasuki Casino, and then we have 4 flu and COVID-19 vaccination events coming up. 2 will be at the Santa Fe County Fairgrounds, 1 at the Pewaukee Satellite Office, and 1 at the Edgewood Senior Center, and we'll get the specific dates and times out to you on those. And then on December 8th, we'll be holding another Santa Fe County employee-only event at the fairgrounds. We also are continuing with public awareness campaigns with our contractor fires to continue to do ongoing public awareness, and that should be out in early January, presented at the BCC meeting in January. And then as far as the ARPA funds that we received, we have started to move that funding out, and we have an MOA with the city of Santa Fe on the Up Together funding. We also have an RFP for substance use and harm reduction services in Edgewood and East Mountain areas of Santa Fe County. We have the additional COVID public awareness, and we're starting to process funding for all of the Connect contracts. Also, economic development has been working on the broadband grant application, the $30 million that we submitted with Rio Arriba County and Espanola, and they have been getting a lot of inquiries from the federal government on that, so it's a good sign. That means they're looking at our application. And I think that is all I have on COVID updates. Any questions from the commissioners on that?
No, but you probably, I think you mentioned the Pewaukee Satellite Office, we're going to have a COVID-19 vaccine. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, I don't have the date on here. I don't have the date or time on here, but it's going to be a combination flu and COVID-19.
Okay, great.
And the liaisons will get the specific
details.
dates and times to you.
Thank you, Manager Miller. Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how you say this new variant, Omicron.
Omicron, yeah.
So I heard on the news that it was also first detected actually in the Netherlands. But I don't know if that's true, but I know they're having a severe outbreak there, or at least an outbreak, because I have a niece who's living there. And so, you know, it might not be here yet, but as Dr. Fauci said, it will be here. So everyone, please get vaccinated, stay safe, and wear your mask. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Any other comments? Okay, so we can move on to our next update. Were there miscellaneous updates?
Yes,
Manager? Okay.
Mr. Chair. So We had a review by Standard & Poor's on our AAA rating, and they did affirm our AAA rating and said that Santa Fe County's New Mexico general obligation bonds that are outstanding have a stable outlook and a AAA rating, which was, as we had redone our debt policy and had a review with them, and we received the report and they upheld our AAA rating. Also, a film that was done last year, Holiday in Santa Fe premiere, is on Lifetime Channel on December 10th. That movie stars Mario Lopez. When he was broadcasting from here, he was also filming and filmed in the downtown area, including a scene at the 100 Catherine building. So it has lots of fun references to Santa Fe, and Jennifer Labar from our film office highly encourages us to watch it. That we'll see a lot of familiar places and faces. Then also the Santa Fe County Fire Department had their pushing ceremony on November 20th, and that was for the brand new ladder truck in Edgewood, and Commissioner Garcia was present for that and spoke, but luckily that truck was in service before the actual pushing in ceremony, because it's not traditional, but it was a pivotal piece of equipment for the large Edgewood Walmart fire on November 14th. And as the fire chief said, the truck cost approximately $1 million to purchase, but on its first fire, it probably saved $30 million of damage to the structures in Edgewood. So thank you, Commission, for appropriating the funds for that. And those are all my miscellaneous updates. And then we have legislative updates. I don't know, Tessa, you're going to do those? And are you going to talk about the breakfast? Okay. I'll turn it over to Tessa. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Tessa Jo Mascareñas with the Santa Fe County Manager's Office. Under legislative updates, we have scheduled our legislative breakfast for next Tuesday, which is December 7th at 9 a.m. at the El Dorado Hotel. We scheduled this the day after the special session for the redistricting will occur. So we hope that it'll nicely coincide and work for our legislators. We've already received a fair number of RSVPs for that event. So that is all I have for the legislative breakfast, and I'm ready to go on whenever you are for the legislative resolutions. So the first one?
You had a question relative to that? Go ahead,
This one,
Commissioner.
are we supposed to RSVP as well?
I already marked you all down as
Okay.
yeses.
I thought so, but yes, I will be there. Thank you.
Alrighty, the first resolution before you under the legislative update is a resolution supporting the New Mexico County's 2022 legislative priorities. In November, the New Mexico County's Board of Directors approved 3 legislative priorities for consideration by the New Mexico legislator for its 2022 session. New Mexico Counties has requested that boards of county commissioners in the state discuss and approve support for these legislative priorities. Those priorities are as followed under House Bill 2 Appropriations. They're requesting the restoration of the funds from the County Detention Facilities Reimbursement Act to the original appropriation of $5 million. Currently, the legislature appropriates $2.3 million despite the estimated debt to the counties reaching over $8 million a year for holding state inmates. In addition, under House Bill 2 Appropriations, they're requesting the creation of a budget line item within the New Mexico Department of Finance in the amount of $750,000 to reimburse counties that provide transportation for state inmates, which is required by statute. In addition, they're requesting the establishment of a permanently and an increase to county participation in the Reach, Intervene, Support, and Engage, the RISE program. It's a partnership between the New Mexico Behavioral Health Services Division and several county jails to reduce recidivism and help nonviolent offenders get treatment and stay out of jail. In addition, they're requesting support for the Law Enforcement Protection Fund. This would be the expansion of funding of, and the funds have been appropriated to other areas of state government. Currently, $5 to $6 million is returned to the general fund from tax revenue on insurance policies, which the county supports using for law enforcement agencies to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of law enforcement services. The third issue they've asked for support with is the creation of a matching fund to help counties pay for construction and renovation of state district courthouses with an initial capital outlay request of $50 to $100 million. And I stand for any additional questions on the New Mexico counties identified priorities resolution.
From the commission? No.
Was, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hanson?
was there anything else brought up at their board meeting that they discussed?
Not that I've been made aware of. These were the 3 items they voted on.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Ms. Mascarenhas. The Detention Reimbursement Fund, currently, maybe Manager Miller can help us out with that. How much do we get to Santa Fe County for that Detention Reimbursement Fund?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, it depends on how many inmates we have in the facility that are on probation or parole that are considered state inmates. So if they're on parole from the state and they violate their parole or probation and they get picked up for that and put into our facility, we put together at the end of the year a report, and that's sent to the, I think it's the Sentencing Commission. And then depending on how much money they have available, so that started out with about $5 million back in, oh gosh, probably 2006, 2007, somewhere in that time frame. And then during the first economic downturn, the state legislature started chipping away at that and took it down to $2 million. So the way they do it is they allocate it based on all counties putting in for reimbursement for those inmates in a year that are considered to be state inmates that we should be reimbursed for. There was actually, I think New Mexico counties filed a lawsuit, and it was found that the state is liable for paying for those, but they weren't paying for them, so they created this fund and then created legislation that would reimburse counties. But they keep chipping away at the fund, so it's gone up, it's gone down over the years because they haven't been fully funding it, and it fluctuates based on how many inmates each entity has that fit that category, and how long they are in our facility. So, and the Sentencing Commission is tasked with divvying that up. I want to say somewhere between 150 to 250,000, but that's partly because it's been so low. The funding's been so low. I think if it were, because that's not what it costs us. It costs us much more than that to house those inmates. But we're supposed to provide to the state those inmates and how long they stayed in our custody. And then that goes to the Sentencing Commission with all of the counties, and then the Sentencing Commission determines how much everybody gets.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Manager Miller. Just appears to me that the state should take care of their state inmates, and we're actually fitting the the budget for this for state. And so I think this is something, a no-brainer that we should endorse. Also courthouse funding, we have here renovation of state district courthouses. Is our first judicial a state district courthouse? And
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, so a lot of the reasons these became New Mexico County priorities is there are quite a few unfunded mandates that we get. And I think the focus this year was to really, by New Mexico counties, was to, since it's a budget year, was to try to get the legislature to focus on those areas where we have been significantly underfunded in state mandates. And so it's that taking care of state inmates, transporting state inmates, and other intervention programs for behavioral health, and then law enforcement protection funds, which we don't get nearly, we get a very small amount in that, less than $100,000 a year usually, for equipment for our law enforcement. So our deputies make arrests and that, but we don't receive those fees. Those fees, if somebody goes to court and pays court fees, that goes to the state. We get a small distribution through the Law Enforcement Protection Fund, but we should be getting significantly more because it's the sheriff's deputies that are actually enforcing the state laws. And then courthouse funding, this is the same thing. You know, I think their hope is that that would go to all the counties to assist in their district court buildings. So while it wouldn't cover paying for ours, we've already bonded and paid for that. We need upgrades to, and the thought would be like we need an upgrade to the camera system, and you know, just things that also that the judges ask for in modifications to the building. But there's no funding source for that. It falls totally on the county, and that creates that environment between the judicial and the counties. And the hope was that if there was a fund, that they could actually appropriate money to for counties and the judicial districts to access to make improvements or build courthouses, then that would be an appropriate place.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Manager Miller, because if we're required to get a new judgeship, which I believe we are, I guess the question we have is where are we going to put the new judge in our courthouse, because there's no more courtrooms. But that's the reason why I was asking that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Okay, do we have any other questions? Tessa, was there other items to update us, or that was it?
That was
Well,
it for.
we do have two things that we need to approve, correct?
Right.
So,
I would make a motion to support the New Mexico Association of Counties priorities.
So under item 8D, a resolution supporting the county's legislative priorities, we have a motion from Commissioner Hughes and a second from Commissioner Hamilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get a resolution number?
Of course, Chair Roybal. This will be resolution number 2021-106.
106. Okay, and our next item is item number 7E, and this is a resolution identifying county 2021 legislative priorities. What's the pleasure of the board? Oh, are we
Chair.
still,
It hasn't been presented.
is that something we still need to present?
Absolutely,
Yeah? Okay,
yes.
thank you.
So as you all are aware, each year we attempt to be proactive and create a resolution regarding any potential measures that could affect the interests of Santa Fe County. What we've done this year is to ask each of the district offices to submit a list to us of priorities for inclusion in this resolution. So this resolution would provide Santa Fe County support for legislation associated with the following potential measures. There would be affordable housing, moratorium on evictions, single-use plastics ban, gun safety regulations on film sets in New Mexico, financial assistance for home solar installation, improvements to the New Mexico energy grid, statewide expansion of broadband infrastructure, and New Mexico-grown fresh fruits and vegetables for school and senior meals.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. So last year, we had a number of other things that didn't seem to make it onto this resolution. So one is the support of protection and enhancement of pollinator species and their habitat. And I think that is really important to be on this resolution because Mimi Stewart brought forward a bill to include neonicotinoids on the toxic list. And so I want to be able to support her if she does bring that forward again. It is a short session, but you never know where pollinators can show up. And then also, I would also like to see on this resolution or on another resolution, support for funding for the New Mexico Environment Department, the New Mexico Energy, Minerals and Natural Resources, and the state engineer. Because if it's true that we have all this money at the legislature, this is the time to fund them and to bring their staffing up, because ultimately that is going to protect Santa Fe County. We have many bills here, as county manager is well aware of what we had to go through in building the courthouse, of the petroleum under the ground, and from dry cleaning fluids that are migrating, especially towards the village of Agua Fria, and on the Baca land also. So it is a benefit to Santa Fe County to support those agencies so that they have more enforcement and more ability to protect the citizens and fulfill our obligation to the health and safety of our constituents.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Hughes?
I would agree with Commissioner Hanson's comments and additions, but I would have to admit that my wife works for the Environment Department and tells me every night how it's underfunded. So I know that more than other people, perhaps. But also I wanted to see, under the moratorium on evictions, the bill that's on the governor's call that's actually going to come forward is a little different than what we said here, because it's actually going to give the courts the ability to stretch out the eviction process, so that if someone comes to court with an eviction order and they're before the judge, that the court would have time to help the person get financial assistance through Rent Help New Mexico or some of the other funds. And that, because if the only reason the person's being evicted is for non-payment of rent, and then there's all this help that can pay the landlord, why not take advantage of that? But my understanding is the timeline in New Mexico right now is so short that there's not really time for that. So if we're going to amend this, I would add some language just to include that we would support policies that allow courts to assist tenants facing evictions.
Any other comments? Commissioner Garcia, did you have anything? No? Okay. So we do have a couple of requests for some additional information or requests to be added to this resolution. So would it be appropriate for us to add those resolutions or ask for it to come back, those additions? Commissioner Hanson?
Since I think we have a little bit of time, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it would be good to add those and then bring them back at our next meeting so that, especially with the language that Commissioner Hughes talked about, that we have the correct language in the resolution.
Okay, so instead of a friendly amendment, we'll just go ahead and if we could have those additions added and then bring it to our next BCC meeting.
Mr. Chair? I'd like
Unless
to-
there's a timeline, go ahead, Manager. Miller.
Well, we have the breakfast next week, and it'd be nice to give the legislators the resolution. So I'd like to work on those additions. I just want to make sure I have them right. The reference to the pollinator species, funding for New Mexico Environment Department and Energy and Minerals, and did you say another one?
State engineer.
I understand they had a lot of funding, but didn't use it.
Okay. I'll leave it to the two agencies that I know are underfunded and know that they need money. So New Mexico Environment Department and New Mexico Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources.
Okay, and then the other is on the moratorium on evictions. Commissioner Hughes, you stated to allow time for the courts to assist in finding financial assistance?
Yeah, to allow the courts to assist tenants with accessing financial assistance.
Okay.
Um,
Are there any
Manager-
others?
No, I think that was it. Is that correct?
Because we can work on adding those and
Oh.
then bring it back a little later in the meeting.
Okay, so
Before
we're
we-
going to bring that back later
Sure.
on in the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next, we're going to move on to item,
Oh,
go
are
ahead,
we-
Commissioner Hamilton.
I was just wondering if, are we not going to make a motion on this tonight?
We are.
Oh, during this meeting? I misunderstood what you said. Thank you. Sorry.
No, great question, Commissioner Hamilton. So we'll come back to item number 8E later on in the meeting. So our next item is number 9. Oh, thank you, Tessa. Our next item is number 9 from the county commissioners, basically, and all other elected officials. These are non-action items and action items. So I'm going to go to 9A, and this is commissioner issues, comments, including but not limited to constituent concerns, recognition, and requests for updates for future presentations. So I'm going to go to Commissioner Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to, first, I want to recognize my beautiful 10 who made a difference, Reunity Resource growing food in the community. They were awarded 10 who make a difference. And then also during this, a couple of weeks ago, Cabinet Secretary Alicia Keys came to Reunity Resources and was very impressed with our Main Street grant that we're working on in the village, and was thrilled to come and see Reunity Resources Community Farm and all the things that we have been doing there. I had the honor to present to the Radioactive and Hazardous Waste Committee on the transport of pits, plutonium pits from Amarillo to Los Alamos, and Los Alamos to Savannah River site in South Carolina, and then back to WIP. And they were all very receptive and very happy to have the presentation. It was well received, and I know it was covered in the New Mexican, but I also realized it was covered in the Carlsbad paper. So I think that getting the word out and helping people know about this issue is really important. On a lighter note, I just wanted to mention that our county manager was a panelist and featured speaker at the 6th Annual Women's Luncheon held by the Chamber of Commerce, and she was fantastic. And I think a big applause to her representing Santa Fe County. It was really nice to be there. And it was incredibly well attended. And then Commissioner Garcia and I have been in a couple places together. One was we were at the Chart Committee meeting, which was in District 2 at Frenchies Field. And it was the introduction of the Chart Committee. And I think it was important that county commissioners also attended, even though they don't seem to know that we exist. But they did recognize us, I think. Also, Commissioner Garcia and I attended last Friday the lighting on the Plaza of the Christmas lights, and that was a really fun event. The lights are beautiful, and it was really well attended. It was so crowded. I don't think I've ever seen the Plaza so crowded. I hope everybody was safe, and most people were wearing a mask. So that was really a good thing to see how many people were there and also being safe. So that is what I have to report for my time. And thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Garcia, for joining me in these events. It was nice to have another commissioner there.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things. One is that I've been learning about transferable development rights from discussions with Manager Miller and the staff of the Growth Management Department, and I realize that we do need to make some changes, which I think the staff has been working on rather diligently, both to make the development rights more attractive to developers, because nobody's actually bought a development right. This is, of course, very important to my district, where all the growth is happening right now. Not all the growth, but a lot of it. And so making sure this program works would be, I think, should be a high priority for us in the spring. So, and of course, also there is the potential to set up a bank using some of our own development rights that we own on our open space that could, but that would require, I think, action on the part of the commission to make some of these improvements. So I would hope that a request that we have a presentation on that where we could discuss it at one of our upcoming meetings and, you know, move forward on making the program work the way it's supposed to. Also want to mention I'm going to have my town hall meeting on December 9th. It'll be the last one of the year, and it won't feature any topic in particular. It'll just be whatever people want to talk about, and that's never been a problem. People always come with things to talk about. Finally, on a lighter note, Clerk Clark and I are honored to represent the county on Thursday night at the fundraising Jeopardy event for LifeLink. We'll be on a team with the mayor and one of the city councilors, and we'll be competing against, I think, the nonprofit community and the business community. I'm not sure how they make money, but if you tune in Thursday night, we can all find out how this turns out to be a fundraiser for LifeLink, but it does sound like fun. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes, Commissioner Hanson, you have something additional?
Yeah, I realized that I didn't mention this to Manager Miller, but since we're talking about it, the Sustainability Department and the Community Service Department has a resolution also on sustainability for the legislators, but I know that we haven't, it hasn't gotten brought forward yet. So I know that's not on the agenda for us to approve, but maybe we could put a draft copy in the packet with the legislators That way, at least they would know some of the things that we are advocating for. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Hamilton?
No, just to remind everybody that we in fact already had our last coffee with the commission this year, so December is open and we'll see everybody back at the beginning of the year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This last week, some articles that have come out in the paper, I find them very interesting in regards to annexation, in regards to the South Meadow property, as into what is happening out there, what was supposed to happen and isn't. Another thing that I just wanted to bring up, as Manager Miller mentioned, the county actually purchased a ladder truck for Fire District 1 down in the Edgewood area. Fire in Walmart happened. We received our truck about 3 or 5 days before that fire happened. We had a really good turnout for the push-in of the fire truck. Entire staff from down there was there, volunteers were there, and family, and it was very nice. The truck that we purchased for the southern part of the county, very beautiful truck, red, white, and blue ladder, great, gorgeous American flag. When I got there, I was wondering how we're going to push in that truck. There's about 35, 50 people. I don't think we could push in that truck. But nonetheless, the fire chief started the truck and helped us out getting the truck into the garage. But it was a great event, a beautiful day. Thank you, Commissioner, for mentioning the lighting of the plaza. If anybody hasn't seen the lights out there, it's actually they're really nice. nice Christmas lights. December 4th, this Saturday, I'll be having a meeting in the village of Cerrillos to go over some projects that Santa Fe County is will be working on, and just informational item to the village of Cerrillos, Madrid, and that surrounding area. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. I did want to ask Manager Miller a question if she would have information. I know that we had a rapid hiring event a couple of weeks ago, and I was just wondering if we could get some information on how that event went.
I believe we had about 5 hires on site and quite a few people that they helped fill out applications for other positions and for future interviews. And the departments that were involved in it thought it was pretty successful, and we're going to do another one in January. The one unfortunate area that we didn't get any applicants for was the detention facility. We had really hoped that there'd be some folks that came out of that rapid hire event for it, but we're not giving up. We're going to do another one and some others, and I just think we're going to have to keep, we're doing more advertising, signage on the highway, wraps, like bus wraps. So we're gonna keep a variety of efforts going to try to recruit more folks for particularly our public safety positions.
Thank you. It sounds like it was a pretty huge success, so I'm glad to hear we're having another one in January. Commissioner Garcia, you had something else?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, thank you. I don't know, this is just a suggestion. I know everybody's having these hiring fairs, schools, counties, cities, state. It just would seem more pure that if we all got together and went to Santa Fe Place Mall or whatnot, and kind of everybody would be there, that kind of would seem ideal to me. But if we could maybe just communicate with other agencies, state agencies, have this huge thing at Santa Fe Place Mall or somewhere. But I just wanted to bring up, in regards to corrections, I had some communications and some situation that I dealt with the corrections facility this week, over the weekend, and I just wanted to thank Lieutenant Gallegos. He actually very helpful, and communication was very well for the situation that I was talking to him about. And I just wanted to give him and his staff some kudos for communication throughout the facility, because a lot of times we hear that there is no communications with the individuals that are outside or incarcerated in there. But I just wanted to thank him and his workforce. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. The other thing I guess I wanted to mention also is that we had an event in my district, and Commissioner Hughes was in attendance as well. It was the SECIA and environmental planning presentation. And, you know, one of the things, we had some of our own liaisons that presented at this staff, which was Olivia Romo, and also Amber Baca participated and helped with helping to facilitate the meeting. But I wanted to just recognize Olivia and also Lucy Foma. They did a great job, you know, really talking about the acequias and how we have to work on, you know, preserving our water. It was just a really great presentation, and this was a presentation to future project managers, I guess you'd say, because there were a bunch of students from a college that were trying to learn more about our culture here, and also how we take care of the water with farming and ranching. So they did a really great job. I just wanted to mention that, you know, one of the things that Olivia was mentioning is el agua es la vida, and so that means, you know, life is water. I mean, water is life. So, you know, it's just something that, you know, it was a great presentation and really talked in detail about our culture here and preservation of our natural resources. So just wanted to mention that and thank them for that presentation, and also thank Commissioner Hughes for being there. And that's really all I have at this point. I do want to open it up to other elected officials. So our next item is for other elected officials, comments or announcements. I wanted to see Tessa, Joe, or Daniel, are there any other elected officials in the meeting right now?
No, Mr. Chair, there's not.
Okay, I just want to ask one more time, because I think that our Madam Clerk may have been a call-in earlier, and so I just want to see if there's any elected officials that are on a call-in, please hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close item 9B. And next, we're going to move on to item number 9C, and this is a request approval of a proclamation proclaiming November 30th, 2021 is the Robert A. Cantu Day. And this individual is a constituent that lives in my district, and he wrote a book at a very young age in the 10th grade, which actually got published, and it's a children's book. It's called Tommy the Sock Monster, and it's by Robert Cantu. And this is a proclamation just recognizing him for his leadership. He works with kids, reading to kids all the time, and volunteers for different events, and, you know, just a really amazing individual. And I believe that we have Mr. Cantu on the meeting. Mr. Cantu, are you present? I'd like to open the floor for you to say some words.
Yes, I am present. I'm here.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas. Happy
I just,
holidays.
I'm very thankful. What's that?
No, I just said I like your hat. Happy holidays.
Oh yeah, thank you. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm just really thankful to all the county commissioners, and then Henry Riddball himself. Thank you very much, and thank you to all my family that's attending the meeting now, and then those who aren't attending right now. I'm still very thankful for them, and very thankful for the Palonica Valley School District that's helped me along the way. So it's been an awesome journey, and I'm very excited for what the future lies.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. There, you know, in talking to Governor Perez, or Perez, he's the governor. He's really proud of you, and just the whole community is really proud of this achievement that you've done. And you volunteer. If you could tell us a little bit more about, I know you volunteer reading to children and actually I think mentor some of the kids in the elementary. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so throughout the year, I've been scheduled to do many events at different Head Starts, preschools, and my school district, the elementary school, Walkett. And I've read to 200 kids at one point at the same time. I read to the first grade, the second grade, then kindergarten and pre-K. So I read to almost 1,000 kids in total that span of 3 weeks, and then all those side events that I did at the preschools in Santa Fe. It's been awesome. I've met so many different kids. Their energy is just awesome. The funny questions they ask me, it's just awesome. It's just an awesome experience that a lot of people can't say they can experience. So I'm very grateful for that. And it's just been an awesome journey. I really can't wait to meet more kids and just share my book with the world and create more books for more kids and just make them smile and just think about me.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, working with the community and watching, you know, young men and women just develop into the people they'll be in the future is just, you know, it's just something that you can't put a price tag on. So, you know, I just want to reiterate how proud I am, you know, of your accomplishment. And, you know, I'm really glad and actually feel blessed to be able to be here today to present you with this proclamation. You know, the governor, in talking to the governor, he just, you know, couldn't say enough about, you know, how proud he is of you as well. Is there anybody else? Is your mom present with you, or does she?
Yeah,
have
she's
anything she
present
wanted to
currently.
add?
Yes, she's right here.
Good afternoon,
Hello.
County Commissioners. Hello.
You may have to get a little bit closer.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. And, you know, I just want to reiterate, Mom, you've done a great job with your son. You have a really bright young man that I'm sure you're very proud of. So
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
We appreciate everything that you guys have brought forward, and also want to just say we appreciate the signed copy. You know, we all got one, and we really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go to commissioners for comments. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cantu, very good book. I read your book. I can totally relate to this book, especially when I take my socks out of the washer. I'm like, they sit on the top of the washer, the dryer for a few days or weeks, and they're like, this pair's going to show up somewhere. But I can totally relate to this book. I appreciate that you thanked your mom, Shannon, for helping your vision become a reality. That's very nice of you to put that in your book. It's awesome for your mom to be there.
Very grateful for that.
Also, some of the illustrations, some of the pictures in here. One of the pages where you have heart, family, love family, very good. And I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you know who Mary Lovato is?
I do not.
You might not remember. Mary Lovato
that does ring a bell. That was my babysitter, right?
Yes, exactly.
It was my babysitter.
Mary Lovato was your babysitter. Mary Lovato is actually my assistant, Brittany Montoya. No, that's her mom. But she said that her mom used to babysit you when you were very young. But,
awesome. It's really small world.
But congratulations. Great job. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Absolutely, Commissioner Garcia is absolutely right. We can all relate to this book. All the time we spend looking for socks. But it's brilliant that you took this common experience and made a wonderful story out of it. And Chair Roybal is absolutely right that you are so motivated to do good things for your community and help younger people read is very impressive, and very grateful for your efforts to do that. In doing that, congratulations on this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to echo the sentiments that the other two commissioners expressed. We're very proud of you. Congratulations. And I wish I had a published book, but I don't. So you have accomplished a lot for your young years. And yeah, just keep up the good work. Serving your community is always fun at any age.
Of course, thank you.
Congratulations, Robert. I was very happy to get this book in my newspaper on Sunday. So not only did we get it right here, but it's gone out to all of the Santa Fe and the New Mexican, and I think that was a great gift to the community, because we can all relate to the socks. Even this morning, as I was looking through my drawer for some socks, there were ones that were missing.
Exactly. Everyone can relate to it.
So congratulations, and like
Thank you very
Commissioner Hughes, I don't have a book that's published either. So congratulations, and good luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and you know, in closing, but not totally, because I do want to read the proclamation into the record, and then I'll ask for a vote to approve it, to proclaim November 30th, 2021 is Robert A. Cantu Day. But I just want to let you know that, you know, whatever you aspire to achieve in life, I know you're going to get there. And I want you to continue to work hard, and let you know that I'll always be here. If you ever need any consulting advice, you give me a call if you guys ever need anything, you know. And, you know, as an elected official, that's what I tell all my constituents. So you're one of my young constituents, but your voice is just as loud as anybody else's. So always keep that in mind. Daniel, can you bring the proclamation up so I can read that into the record? And we will get you a copy of this proclamation, an original copy with our signatures. So it's going to say Santa Fe County Proclamation proclaiming November 30th, 2021 as Robert A. Cantu Day. Introduced by Commissioner Henry Roybal, whereas Santa Fe County would like to honor and recognize a young gentleman by the name of Robert A. Cantu, a high school senior at Poake High School who has shown great leadership to his peers and community through the art of writing. And whereas Robert Cantu participates in other school activities as a member of the Poake High School bowling team, and whereas Robert also takes time to volunteer and help his community by participating in donating socks to local shelters and sock drives, and whereas Robert was given an assignment last year during the pandemic from his child development class to write a children's book, and whereas after completing the assignment, Robert and his mother looked into getting the book he wrote for his assignment published, and whereas Robert became a published author by the age of 17 years old, and has volunteered his time and done several book signings and book readings in the surrounding areas, to include reading to all the pre-K kindergarteners, 1st to 3rd grade at Poake Elementary School. And whereas Robert has read at the Nambe Literacy Night and enjoys reading to youth of the community, he hopes to be inspirational to the students in encouraging them to be creative and pursue their dreams. And whereas Robert is very appreciative of the support he received from the community and his family, and looks forward to writing more books in the future. Now therefore it be resolved that we, the Board of County Commissioners of Santa Fe County, do hereby proclaim the 30th day of November 2021 as Robert Cantu Day. It's approved and adopted and passed this day, 30th day of November 2021, and it'll be signed by all the county commissioners, our county manager, and our county attorney. So thank you and congratulations once again. We will get you an original copy with all our signatures, and great job. We look forward to the things you do in the future. You have a great evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry Ball. I really appreciate it, and happy holidays to everyone out there attending the meeting. Thank you.
Absolutely. So if we could have a round of applause. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation proclaiming November 30th, 2021 is Robert A. Cantu Day.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Roybal, a second from Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Not a surprise. Thank you again, Mr. Cantu. You have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Mr. Chair, it is another reason why we need better broadband throughout our community.
Yes. Yes, we're working on better broadband. So we're going to go on to item number 9D, and this is a resolution requesting a change to the Public Employees Retirement Association of New Mexico return to work provisions. And we have this sponsored by Commissioner Anna Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I honestly think this resolution is fairly self-explanatory. This is to support and encourage the legislature to make changes to expand the availability of people who are willing to work and available to fill positions in this time when we're having, I use that very broadly, everybody is having a huge amount of trouble filling positions. For whatever reasons, it's certainly been a transition that was in some way or another, some complex way sparked by the pandemic. Provisions that need to be changed are often referred to as legislation against double dipping. And I have to be honest, I have never really felt that was a fair characterization because it implies that people are getting paid twice for the same work, which is really not what's going on. I wanted to sponsor this. Many other communities are passing resolutions like this to make their intentions known to the legislature that this would be a useful thing to do. Some of the other communities are stressing doing this at least for public safety, fire, law enforcement, EMS, and dispatch. To be honest, this resolution is more general. I honestly think this would be helpful to every department that is looking to try to fill vacant positions. That is probably, the rest I think is fairly self-explanatory in the memo. I'd respectfully ask for this to be supported.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, what's the pleasure of the board, Commissioner Hanson?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second?
We have a motion from Commissioner,
Mr.
under discussion, Commissioner Garcia.
This is item D, correct?
This is item 9D. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I think for Commissioner Hamilton to be bringing this forward to the state legislature, they've tried this many years, and I think now is probably the time to hopefully have the governor's office as well as the state legislature bring back this consideration, because anywhere from public safety to law enforcement, crime rate in Albuquerque, some of the crime rate that's happening here, bringing more police officers to the communities is going to be challenging, because just the populace that we have here in the state of New Mexico makes it hard to bring new individuals to that workforce. But this would actually help out the state as a whole, local governments, to bring back retirees, for an example, public safety. Also, this doesn't address NEA, which is teachers. This would actually help out for NEA. I understand this is for PERA, but something to this effect for NEA, for teachers to come back to work is something that is in dire need in this community, in the state of New Mexico. But thank you for bringing this forward, Commissioner Hamilton. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, and I couldn't agree. Even Santa Fe County and everywhere across the state and probably the United States are having issues with filling positions, and it's just something that I think needs to be considered so that we can fill some of the vacancies, so we can still provide the service that we need to our constituents. So I would agree. We do have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get a resolution number for that one?
Of course, Chair Roybal. It is resolution number 2021-107.
107, it looks like we passed the hundreds earlier tonight. So I'm going to go on to item number 9E, and this is a resolution to implement the Santa Fe Food Policy Council report on strengthening and expanding food and nutrition programs in Santa Fe. And the sponsors for this resolution is Commissioner Anna Hamilton and Commissioner Rudy Garcia. Okay, so I'm going to go to either Commissioner Garcia will go to, and then we can go to Commissioner Hamilton.
Let's see, you want me to go first? Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'll start off.
Okay, no,
I'm
absolutely.
very grateful to Commissioner Garcia for sponsoring this with me. This is not the first time this board has brought a resolution relating to food, hunger, and farm initiatives. I think everybody on this board, sincerely, not to speak for anybody else, but clearly people have taken on this board and the board before us have taken action in this regard. This is something that is clearly very important to community members and their well-being, and something that's been a high priority. Food, housing, and water are things that, environmental safety, that this board has emphasized. The value of bringing this resolution is it states our intent and, our outlook for, what we want to do and what we want to encourage the legislature to do as well. There are several people, I see Lucy Foma sitting here. There's several other people on the WebEx that have worked, who work tirelessly on these issues, sort of day in and day out, and maybe we can give a couple of them a chance to speak. I know that the chair is aware of the people who are available to speak. So I think we should go to Commissioner Garcia first and then to these other people. I just wanted to say that this does become a living resolution, something that helps, and in the past has helped us with our strategic planning and our implementation of activities. And I wanted to acknowledge the list of people who work on this committee: David Sundberg, Sue Perry, Lucy Foma, Robert Griego, Chris Heyer, Sherry Hooper, and Pam Roy, and thank them for their efforts in this very important area. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, for allowing me to co-sponsor this. This is actually something that has been in the works for many, many years. Pam Roy actually does an excellent job for this council. She's been there at the Roundhouse for many, many years, probably 7-10 years now, and her team, as well as our staff that has worked on this, Pam Roy actually now has a line item in the Department of Finance and Administration for this allocation to go to this food production and what we do. And one of the things that's interesting about this is that people may or may not realize this, but what the council does is they actually go to the state legislature and appropriate some money for healthy foods. Those healthy foods actually reach the entire state of New Mexico's school system. And it's actually great to see that there's a lot more nutritional items on those trays for students. And with the help, like I said, Pam, congratulations, you and your board and as well as our staff are working on this, because this is something that is moving forward, something that needs to be done. It actually helps out the local economy. It helps out the farmers. It helps out a tremendous amount of local businesses, local agricultural businesses. And like I mentioned, where people eat healthy. And thank you for, once again, Commissioner Hamilton, for allowing me to co-sponsor this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. So I'm going to go to Lucy Foma first.
I think you may have to put the microphone on, because
The
I'm
mic
not
looks like
hearing
it's
you.
red. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, I haven't been up here in a while. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm Lucy Foma from Planning. I'm the appointee to the Food Policy Council, and I also work on implementing the Agriculture and Ranching Implementation Plan, which the board passed in 2016. I'd like to first thank you for considering this resolution, and thank you, Commissioners Hamilton and Garcia, for bringing it to the board. As you mentioned, this happens every year. In this year's resolution, there are two actions I wanted to bring to your attention. The first says, allow staff to explore the possibility of developing and adopting procurement policies that prioritize locally produced food to ensure more economic stability for local farmers and food producers, while also providing fresh and healthy food to seniors and other constituents. The third action requested in the resolution states, prioritize investments and collaborations to develop new farming, distribution, and food aggregation and processing infrastructure that will support more farmers and food producers to make economically viable products. As Commissioner Garcia just stated, this resolution gets carried to the state and our legislative priorities, but I also wanted to state how this resolution ties into the work we do locally in the county. In the Sustainable Growth Management Plan, which is the county's comprehensive plan, Chapter 4 is the agriculture section, and among other goals, it states, preserve, support, promote, and revitalize agriculture and ranching as critical components of the local economy, culture, and character. It also states support local food systems and food security. Additionally, one of the goals is to preserve and support community-based agriculture and the acequia system as an important part of the county's heritage and agricultural sustainability. Within the agriculture and ranching implementation plan, which I mentioned we have been developing, we use the SGMP goals, the Sustainable Growth Management goals, as well as those which are within our community plans. And as a planner, we work with communities extensively to develop plans about their future and what they want to see for their communities. Another item I want to bring to your attention is the Santa Fe County Strategic Plan and how this resolution ties into the strategic plan. Within Population Goal 3, Support a Healthy Community, one action is to implement goals identified in the Food Policy Council Food Plan. Another strategy, 3.3.3, says serve healthy, delivered, and congregate meals through senior centers and procure and enter contracts for local produce for senior services. So again, you can see this ties directly to what we're requesting in the resolution. And in the effort to implement this further locally, I wanted to bring to the council, the commission again, that we have the Aggregate program. I'm the administrator of the Aggregate program of Santa Fe County, and I've presented on this in the past, but I'd happy to do so again at any given time in the future. This platform was launched in 2019 to connect local food producers with local food buyers. It also hosts the Food Community Map, which can be used by the county to geographically identify where food producers are located and therefore where we can make strategic investments in infrastructure for food processing and packaging. So this is a tool we can use to implement this resolution. Additionally, the county could use this tool in identifying local food producers in order to integrate more local food buying into our county procurement. I invite members of the commission to discuss these projects and others with me and planning staff, if you wish. Thank you for considering this resolution, and I know that we have Pam and David on WebEx. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Lucy. We appreciate that, and I think I forgot to mention that for that meeting, Lucy did an outstanding job. I did mention that, but she also mentioned her brother's going to be a constituent here in the near future, right? And moving to not bad. But going to commissioners for any questions. Commissioner Garcia, I think I saw your hand up, or no? No? Commissioner Hughes, any questions? Okay, I think this is a great resolution, so I just want to thank Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Hamilton for bringing this forward. Yeah, I'm going to go to the next speakers as well, and I know that Commissioner Hanson did step out for just a moment, but I'm sure she'd like to vote on this. So I'm going to go to David Sundberg. Are you here, sir? He's the co-chair of the Santa Fe City Food Council, Santa Fe County, City and County.
Good
Mr. Sundberg, are
afternoon.
you online?
I am present. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
You're
Yes,
a little bit muffled. Can you hear him all right on your listening?
Yeah, I can,
Okay.
we can hear you on the earpieces.
Yeah,
It's
let
a
me get
little
that on.
quiet, but we definitely hear you.
All right. Let me try and unplug my headset to see if it's...
Is
Yes, that's better.
that better?
Yes.
Okay, good for technology. Thank you for your patience. Well, good afternoon, Chair Roybal, Board. I really appreciate you having us on this afternoon to talk about food and agriculture. It's certainly one of my heart's passions, and Commissioner Hamilton, you pegged it. Absolutely. This board has addressed food, agriculture, food insecurity, all these issues for years and years and years. And we wanted to bring forward this resolution. It's a relatively simple one, but it's also very broad. We intentionally did that with 3 action items attached to it, as Lucy pointed out, 2 of them. With the idea that there's a lot of things. It's very expansive. We can fit things into it. In preparation for this afternoon, like Lucy, I went back through some of the plans that had been written in the past. Some of them I participated on. Some of them I really gleaned a lot of great information from them. Starting with the 2014 food plan that the board passed as a guiding document. The 2015 Sustainable Growth Management Plan that Lucy referred to, the 16 Ag and Ranching Plan, more recently the 2020 Food and Nutrition Program recommendations that the Food Policy Council put forward that were adopted by resolution, and now the 2021 Food, Farm, and Hunger Initiative that the governor put forward very recently. It's been a blitz of 6 months. Some of the council members have been able to participate in the different committees on that and offer good advice. And now it is sprinting towards legislature with some just really amazing recommendations that the legislature can pick up both for policy as well as funding initiatives. We've included that in the packet. I won't go deep into it because there's just a tremendous amount there. Well, bring this up because I really wanted to highlight that all these things and so many more have a lot of things in common around food. The ones that I really pulled out were procurement opportunities, especially with our institutions, senior services, schools, hospitals, higher education. Keeping ag lands in production is absolutely critical. The report led that we lost 11 farms in Santa Fe County in the last 5 years or so. It's not a huge amount, but at that rate, with more and more ag lands dropping out of food production and maybe just going into production for grazing or something like that, we're going to lose the ability for humans to eat the food that's grown local. Responsible water usage, infrastructure development and investment is absolutely critical and in every single document that I've read. Removing barriers to entry, that is for new producers who would like to go into farming or ranching, and also removing the barriers for people to be able to expand or get into new areas of sales. Navigation tools mentioned a lot, and those are for basically the producers or processors, manufacturers who would like to get into new systems or expand their systems. but they find it very difficult because there are barriers through either code or we lack specific infrastructure, or perhaps it's just that the permitting and regulatory efforts are so onerous that it becomes extraordinarily difficult and slow. Marketing and promotion is an interesting one that comes up frequently, and it's not often talked about within government. But there are some great promotional programs happening at the state level, and I've seen some come through the county level really promoting the fact that we have amazing agricultural systems and a long history of producing our own foods. And I truly believe that we need to be doing more of that. Networking and information disbursement is a very important one. We all don't know what we don't know, and so it's very difficult to find new information unless it's actually presented to us in a really tangible way that we can absorb it and assimilate it and be able to utilize it. I bring this up because this resolution supports 3 different actions. Lucy brought up 2 of them. One of them allowing the staff to really explore the possibilities of developing and adopting procurement policies that prioritize locally produced food. We spend a tremendous amount of money in our communities as governments, and we can spend more of that locally and support our farmers, support our ranchers, support our local food producers and processors. We can design a local food promotion, education, and outreach initiative. So that really hits on a lot of those things: the marketing promotion, the networking, and information disbursement. And then prioritizing investment and collaborations to develop new farming, distribution, food aggregation, and processing. This is absolutely critical. A few statistics. We love bandying about statistics in the food world, as do many in all different worlds. But here in New Mexico, we export 95% of our food that we produce and raise. And we import almost the same amount of food that we consume. It's just a grand disparity because we do not have the infrastructure and marketing and everything absolutely necessary to keep our foods here in the communities. Through this resolution, we would be allowed to do a number of things. Not only could Pam and I get to go to the legislature and say Santa Fe County absolutely supports these initiatives, and we've been doing that through COVID. There have been just some amazing initiatives to really get more local food staying local, get more investment into our school systems with higher reimbursement rates for school meals, be able to bend the rules, completely ignore some of the rules so that we have better distribution systems to be able to access more people and get them the healthy, nutritious food that they truly deserve. You can also use these, as Lucy mentioned, to be able to direct staff within the county. And this is one place I'd really like to dig into and just love to participate with staff and with all different departments to actually be able to figure out how can we bring together different departments to understand the value of food and agriculture in our community, to be able to really support it and invest in it and look at creative ways that Santa Fe County can bolster all the wonderful farming programs that we have and all the wonderful food programs and be able to bring in more jobs, more businesses to be able to process and manufacture those foods, distribute them, and keep them right here in our community. So in short, actually it was kind of been long, I apologize, I'm winded. We'd love to really engage and be a more proactive part coming out of COVID because we recognize a lot of the great systems that are starting to be put in place, and there's a huge amount of energy all through our community and all through our state. And we can draw down on that right now, starting today, starting next week, starting at the beginning of next year in the legislative session, and working with your permission, any department within the county to really be able to push forward some of these programs and ideas. So thank you so much again for the time to be able to present and discuss with you.
Thank you, Mr. Sundberg. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention this. I did an experiment myself with healthy foods. My neighbor is actually Mary and Tom Dixon. Their son and daughter have taken over the operation of the green tractor farm from La Cienega. Roughly about, I want to say almost a month ago, they actually delivered a bag of produce to my aunt. Yeah, spinach, kale, radishes, carrots, amazing vegetables. I actually got some lettuce, spinach, other items from a grocery store. And the items that we received from the green tractor farm lasted like 2 or 3 weeks longer than the actual produce that I got from the grocery store. And it was just amazing to realize, and my aunt and I talked about this, that healthy grown food is produce definitely lasts a lot longer. It's a lot healthier. And so thank you for bringing this initiative forward. Appreciate that, David. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Hamilton, did you have anything before we go to our next speaker? Oh, no worries.
No, well, I'm gonna do that typical thing. I'm gonna say no, and then I'm gonna say something.
No,
So
it's
yes is the answer. There's a lot that's important in this, but, one of the things is, both Commissioner Garcia and Mr. Sundberg alluded to this, and that is that, a critical part of sustainability is, think globally but act locally, and the idea of supporting local farming and produce is a key component of being securely sustainable in the long term, and spending less energy on transportation. So it's directly and indirectly linked to, we think of sustainability in terms of our survival through climate change. It's also a bigger issue. And so for our populations to be both healthy and sustainable, this is a central aspect of it. I just thought that was an interesting thing.
Absolutely.
It is alluded to, but it wasn't just said explicitly. So.
Absolutely, some great points, Commissioner. I'm going to go to our next speaker on the item. Her name is Ms. Pam Roy.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. And am I twice? I can hear myself twice. Yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today, and to Commissioner Hamilton and Commissioner Garcia for giving us the opportunity as sponsors of this resolution. I want to thank you. I'm just going to try and mute myself on my own computer here. I think that'll be better. Anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I just want just a few things to add to what Commissioner Hamilton, Commissioner Garcia, and David said. Are that, and Commissioner Garcia mentioned, which is, we've been doing this for quite a while, right? We've been coming to the legislature, and I want to say, and thank you all as county commissioners, the county has been fabulous to work with during the legislative process when taking on these issues as priorities around food and agriculture in our state. We love working with your staff. We're there. When we come to present and we co-present, then we move out into the hallway after a committee hearing and we talk about what happened, what are our next steps, what might be some strategies. So I really want to thank Commissioner Garcia when he was actually in that position as your lobbyist, as well as Hutch, who's doing it now. He is fabulous to work with, Hutch Miller, and and very attentive. So just a few things to build on what we said. These are building blocks. Commissioner Garcia mentioned it, and so did Commissioner Hamilton, about we've been getting produce into schools and things like that. So the big leap, those things have helped to take us step by step, helped us build these opportunities, helped us build out the capacity that David was talking about, that is in process and is happening in the state. And this resolution would help us in a really major way on a massive initiative that David and a lot of us have been involved with called the New Mexico Food, Hunger, and Farm Initiative. It is led by the governor's office, but it came out of the last legislative session as a way to approach these issues not in silo, but collectively, that we see hunger as part of our food system and that we actually address it as that. And we see that food and agriculture, as David said, we export 95% of what we raise in the state. How do we keep more of that at home? And the pandemic really expressed that when we learned about major national distribution disruptions when it came to our food system. So this is a real, I want to say, opportunity. It is a catalyst. And the initiative called Food, Hunger, and Farm is actually pulling all of these pieces together. There are 8 agencies across the state that host human services, health, agriculture, public education, aging and long-term services, and several more that are partners in this initiative. And the idea is to look at all of these different programs, SNAP Double Up Food Bucks, which is our Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the New Mexico program across all generations, early child care, meal programs, schools and senior programs, to build out some infrastructure, some of the marketing opportunities David was talking about, educational and training programs for farmers, soil health initiatives, and seeing all these things as a collective. It will be a $28 million ask. And yet it will pair up at least $13 million in federal funding directly and automatically. So our goal is that we're not going with one bill at a time, but that we're going with a comprehensive package, a 5-year plan that more than 150 people who represent organizations and agencies across the state have been working on over the last 6 months. And it is really embedded in community-driven, with the idea that we are mitigating hunger in our state. We're coordinating efforts to build out market opportunities and that economic opportunity and jobs, as well as providing the healthiest, freshest food, just like Commissioner Garcia said. That's what our senior centers are saying now, that are now part of the program, the state program, that they can keep product longer and fresher, and that the seniors are absolutely loving it. So just a few additional things to add to that, and we look forward to your support. The resolution will also help us build on our efforts as we come into federal programs, into the upcoming federal farm bill. And that is the one that also has all of the food and nutrition programs, like SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, all the agriculture programs. And so these are our building blocks, and you are very generous to help us with them. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roy, and it's nice to see you again. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Pam, it's nice to see you in a different context instead of running into you at the Roundhouse, but I will hope to do that this year too. Thank you both, Commissioner Hamilton and Garcia, for bringing this forward. It's a very important resolution. Of course, I think I will wholeheartedly support it. And I just wanted to point out that when I was visiting the farm with Commissioner Roybal and we were learning about acequias, it was pointed out to us, I think, that the transferable development rights would be another way to help protect our agricultural land and keep it in agriculture. So all these things hopefully will come together in a good way. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Hanson?
Hi, Pam. Nice to see you. Of course, I support this 100%. I think having Reunity resource in my district and having a traditional farming community that I represent is really important, and the fact that they grow food and give it to the community is really important. I would really love to see the aggregate program take off, get more customers or more interaction, more benefit to the community, that, you know, because I think it has so much potential. And so I was happy to see that in this resolution also. And thank you, commissioners, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. If there's not any other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hamilton, a second from Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Good job, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lucy.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 9F, and this is a resolution to support Santa Fe Public Schools in addressing the Santa Fe Public Schools staffing crisis, and the sponsor is Commissioner Rudy Garcia.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Thank you, my colleagues here, for bringing this forward. As we may or may not know, public schools are, challenging state these days, nationwide, statewide, and locally, in regards to the shortage of teachers and staffing throughout the district. in Santa Fe, anywhere from the individuals that turn the lights on, bus drivers, counselors, nurses, teachers, food servers. We're actually in dire need in our public school system here in Santa Fe. One of the things I'd like to thank is our community. Our community here in Santa Fe has done a great job in assisting us in allowing the schools to present a bond to the voters, and they actually did approve our bond. And we have a very caring community that definitely is involved with our school board and oversees a lot of day-to-day operations with us, anywhere from communities and schools and a lot of nonprofit organizations, Reading with Children, that help out our schools. President Noble of the school board actually brought this forward as a resolution to support the Santa Fe Public Schools, because we all do live in this community and our future is the kids that are in school. And she did get overwhelmingly response from the entire city council that supported this resolution and bringing this forward to my colleagues here to actually support this resolution as well, which is to support our schools and come together as a community and communicate, and let's see how and what we can do to all work together for this need. I'm going to go ahead and just read a couple of items through the memo here. There's actually a Southwest Outreach Academic Research, SOAR, Evaluation and Policy Center basically did a study, and they did present their study to the Legislative Finance Committee on September 21st. One of these research and presentation to the committee, as we may or may not know, I do sit on the Board of Education. About 2 years ago, the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit, which actually approached the state of New Mexico state legislature, and state legislature was taken to court, where about 5 or 6 school districts, including Santa Fe, not all districts throughout the state, brought this lawsuit forward. And the judge actually, then Judge Singleton, actually voted in favor of the lawsuits, which actually requires the state of New Mexico, the state legislature, to provide a lot more educational needs to schools throughout the state of New Mexico. The SOAR actually did once again their presentation on September 21st to the LFC, the Legislative Finance Committee. Some statistics below is within the memo, which I would like to read some of these bullet points. Is when the NEA Santa Fe asked if those surveyed could buy a home that meets family needs on their salary, 86% said no, and 11% said they weren't sure. Another bullet point is when the NEA Santa Fe asked if those surveyed who have rented in the last 10 years have had to move due to rising rent, foreclosure on the property, or sale or conversation of the property by the landlord, 56.6% said no, and 43% said yes. This is something that we all deal with, even within our workforce here at Santa Fe County. The average monthly cost for childcare among those responding teachers to the NEA Santa Fe survey said the average monthly cost for childcare was roughly about $954 per month, and some reporting over $2,000 per month. That's just for childcare. In August 6th this year, a letter to the legislative leaders, our superintendent, the community superintendent, Hilardo Larry Chavez, said, I urge you to please keep education funding and employee raises intact. We must continue our forward momentum in providing comprehensive salaries for school employees. It is our understanding, being on the school board, that that is one of the initiatives, and on the governor's call to the lawsuit, and also to look at the communities throughout the state as into getting equity for the teachers to our comparing states, Colorado, Arizona, and that hopefully will remain and still is on the call of the governor. I will read some of these whereases. Number one, actually this is a resolution to support Santa Fe Public Schools in addressing the Santa Fe Public School staffing crisis. Whereas a report by SOAR, Southwest Outreach Academic Research, Evaluation, and Policy Center, presented at the LFC hearing on September 21st, found all teacher vacancies in the state of New Mexico have increased from 644 in 2019, almost double to 1,048 in 2021. Whereas SOAR found that consistently higher teacher vacancies are occurring in elementary, special education, math, science, and English language arts. Whereas SOAR found that health, physical education, music, social studies, and Spanish are other challenging areas. Whereas SOAR found that numerous needs are also being experienced by districts with high Native American populations. Whereas SOAR found that other key areas are also experiencing increased vacancies, with vacancies for educational assistants growing from 258 in 2019 to 456 in 2021. Counselor vacancies growing from 37 to 59, and speech language pathologist vacancies growing from 42 to 52 in the same period. Whereas in a policy brief in June of this year, New Mexico Voices for Children said New Mexico teachers can earn a weekly wage that is almost 30% lower than what other comparable college-educated workers earn. Whereas New Mexico Voices for Children recommends a continued increase in state investments in our students, our schools, and our teachers, with particular focus on investments designed to promote tribal, bilingual, multicultural education, as well as pathways for teachers and school staff who reflect student population. Whereas the Teachers Union, National Education Association Santa Fe, conducted a survey of 400 Santa Fe public school educators August of this year and found that buying or renting a home or apartment in Santa Fe has become more difficult. Access to childcare is a barrier to recruit and retain highly qualified and diverse education workforce. And standardized teaching has been reduced, but still impacts the freedom of educators have in the classroom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners, Santa Fe County, hereby support the following measures. Number one, the state legislature dramatically increase educator salaries, as current levels are inadequate to retain quality educators, especially when considering the education and license requirements for the profession. Educators value importance to society, the high cost of living in Santa Fe County, particularly housing, with rental prices in Albuquerque 26% lower than Santa Fe, and the accelerating need to attract qualified individuals to the profession. Number 2 and 3 here is something that the county is working on, and that's with the city, that the city and county of Santa Fe work together in partnership and active effort to aggressively invest in and remedy the urgent need for housing educators can afford. Number 3, the Board of NEA Santa Fe Public Schools and community housing partners include the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition, form a task force to develop and recommend creative solutions to address affordable housing for Santa Fe public school employees in the short, medium, and long term. 4, that the Santa Fe Superintendent investigate providing and improving both child care options for Santa Fe public school staff and volunteer and community support. Also, investigate other needs as identified by staff members and the partnership with NEA Santa Fe. 5, that the Santa Fe Public Schools invest in staffing and system upgrades for Human Resources Department to expedite employment applications. And 6, that the County Manager's Office send this resolution to the board and communicate to the board all requests made to key partners, contacts, including but not limited to the New Mexico Legislature, our Santa Fe delegation, City of Santa Fe County, Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition, and other communities partners. My colleagues here, this is just something that we all need to look at as a community as a whole. Being on the Board of Education, it's you see a lot of things and you hear a lot of things that the general public doesn't really realize what's happening in our schools and our communities. My district that I represent is a challenging district, and I feel that our Board of Education does a great job, as I mentioned earlier, with our community volunteer-based nonprofit organizations that assist us, all of us, because we all live in this community. They do great. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll stand for any questions. And if there is no questions, I would appreciate if all my colleagues here would support this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for this resolution, Commissioner Garcia. Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Hughes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to support this resolution, and I just want to mention that after reading this over the weekend, I had a chance to talk to my sister who works for the public schools in New York State, and of course, the disadvantage is you have to live in New York State, but they pay their teachers much better there. And I said, do you have any staffing shortage? She said, no problem. So absolutely, raising the salaries of the teachers would make a huge difference, and I support this. But I'll see if there's other questions.
Thank you. I agree, Commissioner Hughes. Any other questions or comments from the board? No? Commissioner Hamilton?
No questions, but I think Commissioner Hughes's comment is right on. And at some point, it becomes a little bit of a duh that we don't spend money where in the most important areas, where people are willing to make bogus arguments that, we should be doing things because we love them, not because we want money. But if you want to attract people in private sector jobs, what do? You throw money at it. So,
I would agree.
It was a good point, and
I agree with that. I think that this is a great resolution that Commissioner Garcia has brought forward, and as Commissioner Hamilton said, it's something, and Commissioner Hughes, it's it's an investment in our future. Our kids are our future, and it's worth the investment to pay the teachers what they deserve, so that we will actually attract more teachers into our schools. So and have young adults pursue that avenue of education. So I would agree. So thank you, Commissioner Garcia, and I'll come back to you, Commissioner Garcia, because I think the motion would be appropriate coming from you.
Mr. Chairman, just once again, I'd like to thank the board president, Kate Noble, and my colleagues on the Board of Education for initiating this and bringing this forward to our local governments. And communication is good whenever local governments within a community speak together. But with that, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Garcia, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. And I'm going to go, is there anything under discussion before we move on? Okay.
I just
Commissioner
didn't get to
Hanson?
say anything. I completely support paying our teachers more money, especially since Commissioner Hughes mentioned rents are outrageous, becoming more and more outrageous in this town. And this is a very good resolution, and I want to recognize President Kate Noble for all her work that she is also doing along with Commissioner Garcia. So I just wanted to add that my support. Thank you.
Thank you. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you again, Commissioner Garcia. Deputy Madam Clerk, can we get the resolution for item number 9E and 9F?
Of course, Chair Roybal. 9E, the resolution number is 2021-108, and 9F is resolution number 2021-109.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is item number 10, and these are matters from the county attorney. Attorney Schaefer, can you give us a summary of what we need to go into executive session for?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. First, housekeeping item from the last Board of County Commissioners meeting. At its November 9, 2021 meeting, the Board of County Commissioners went into executive session at the end of the meeting and did not reconvene an open meeting. Consequently, it was unable to include in the minutes of its November 9, 2021 meeting the statement required by the Open Meetings Act. Accordingly, I would respectfully request that the minutes of this meeting reflect that the matters discussed during the November 9, 2021 executive session were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure. The board will be approving that statement by virtue of its ultimate approval of the minutes of this meeting. With that housekeeping item out of the way, this evening for executive session, there is discussion of bargaining strategy preliminary to collective bargaining and negotiations between the Board of County Commissioners and collective bargaining units as allowed by Section 1015(1)H5 NMSA 1978. Threatened or pending litigation in which Santa Fe County is or may become a participant as allowed by Section 1015(1)H7 NMSA 1978, and discussion of the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights as allowed by Section 1015(1)H8 NMSA 1978, including 1, Enterprise Bank and Trust versus the County of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the City of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Cause number D101CV 2021-02309. 2, potential acquisition of real property for a substance abuse treatment center. And 3, discussion of bargaining strategy preliminary to collective bargaining and negotiations between the Board of County Commissioners and the AFSCME 1413 IAFF NMCPSO /RECC and NMCPSO SFCDSA bargaining units.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Schaefer. So,
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
I
Hamilton?
make a motion that we go into executive session.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Commissioner Hamilton, I know Greg was in the middle of reading all that, so I didn't want to interrupt him, but I didn't know if you want to do the public hearings first, because we ordered food, but it's not here yet either. So if you wanted to do the 3 public hearings first.
Okay, no,
I don't think they'll be particularly long.
Yeah, Manager Miller did bring that to my attention, and it was, oh, no worries. I did want to say that we would go ahead and deviate from our agenda and go ahead and bring item number 11 forward and do our public hearings first. So we can start with 11A. And 11A is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-4, an ordinance establishing Santa Fe County utility water service rates and changes and repealing all prior water service rates and charges to update water services rates and charges through use of utility expansion charges. And from our Utilities Division, we have Mr. John Dupuy.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
Good evening, sir.
First, I'll give a background, and then we would open the hearing. Is that correct, County Attorney Schaefer? Thank you. So, on June 12th, 2018, the Board of County Commissioners approved ordinance number 2018-4 to establish county utility water service rates and charges. The existing rates at that time were not adequate revenue to cover the costs and operations of maintenance. On October 12, 2021, HDR, under contract with Santa Fe County, presented to the board on a completed study of the current water connection fee approach and proposed water and sewer utility expansion charges, or UECs. Then on October 26, 2021, the board approved publishing title and general summary of an amendment to ordinance number 2018-4 to update the water service rates and charges through use of utility expansion charges. In summary, regarding those UECs, it consists of a one-time charge required of all new customers desiring or existing customers requesting an increase in the level of service. The water UEC is set at $3,165 for a 5/8 meter. The charge for larger meters is equal to this base amount multiplied by the American Water Works Association accepted ratio of the capacity of the larger meter to the 5/8 meter. This ordinance will amend Section 11F of Ordinance Number 2018-4. And at the October 12th BCC meeting, a reduced UEC rate for affordable housing was discussed. Section 13.6.4 of the SLDC describes affordable housing relief that exempts them from water connection charges, and this section will also apply to water UECs. The action requested after the hearing is to approve the ordinance as proposed.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? No questions? Okay, so I'm gonna go to, this is a public hearing, so I'm gonna go to the public. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in opposition or support of this ordinance? If you're a WebEx participant, you would need to unmute yourself and state your name for the record. If you're a call-in participant, you would need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. Once again, anybody from the public that would like to speak in support or not supporting this ordinance? Okay, Tessa Jo, is there anybody online that, from the public, that you think might want to speak to this item?
Mr. Chair, I am not seeing any notifications on WebEx or through any call-in users.
Okay. With that, I'm going to close public comment, and I'm going to go to the commission once again. Are there any questions? If not,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Move to approve?
So we have a motion from Commissioner Hamilton.
Second.
A second, multiple seconds from Commissioner Hughes and Commissioner Hansen. Under discussion, Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of questions in regards to, let's look at page 1 of 2. If you have a meter service size of 5/8 inch, can you tell me what MEU is?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, the MEU is the meter equivalency unit. It is the ratio of any given meter to a 5/8 meter.
So, Mr. Chair, John, so $3,165, what's the current cost to connect to the water system?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, the current cost relative to this UEC, which it is replacing, is the water service connection charge, and currently is $2,750.
So so if you have a water line that runs down a county road and I have a vacant lot, or I have an existing house and I want to connect, does this charge is just for the connection to it is a connection fee proposed to the county utility? What if that individual doesn't have a canister? Does this include the canister? Is the canister approved by the county, or it's up to the individual to place a canister in there? The canister is actually the culvert that goes in there that has all where the meter sits and so on and so forth in there, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, you're referring to the meter can where the meter's installed, and that is the responsibility of the homeowner or future homeowner to install. It's often installed whenever a developer creates a subdivision. On some circumstances, maybe a family transfer, et cetera, that meter can is not in place prior to or during the process of the subdivision. If that's the scenario, they do also have to pay for the installation of the meter can at that point in time when requesting service.
So once again, Mr. Chair, John, so that's the individual can actually place a canister as long as it meets the requirements of the county themselves?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, that's correct.
And this does not have anything, this section of the ordinance that is an existing ordinance has nothing to do with standby fees, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, that is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Anything else under discussion? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Oh, wait, we're going to go to a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk, can you do a roll call vote, please? Commissioner Garcia, you got another?
One more question, because I know I'm going to get this asked by, can you tell us what the reasoning is for increasing the rates for connection to the water system?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, the reason for the increase is to recover more of the expense that is shown to be needed for this type fee. And the study provided showed that it was, I believe, in excess of $8,000 that we could charge up to. And we wanted, from my understanding from the direction from the board, stay competitive with adjacent entities. And so we set it at this lower amount to achieve that goal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. If we could get a roll call vote, please?
Of course. Commissioner Rudy Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Anna Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Hank Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Anna Hansen,
Yes.
and Chair Henry Roybal.
Yes. Okay, so it passes, all yeses.
Yes.
So we're going to go on to item number 11B, and this is a...
Would you like the number for that one?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
All right, that is ordinance number 2021-05.
05, thank you. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next ordinance, and this is 11B, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1998-16, an ordinance establishing provisions for extension of sewer service, adopting operating and management procedures, setting rates, and establishing design standards for the Santa Fe County wastewater utility to update sewer services connection fees through the use of utility expansion charges. Once again, we have our director, Mr. John Dupuy, Utilities Division.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Provide a brief background, very similar to the previous background. Apologize for the repetitiveness, and a discussion of, that is a summary of the utility expansion charges being proposed. On June 12, 2018, the Board of County Commissioners amended ordinance number 1998-16 in order to update the sewer rates and charges. The existing rates at that time were not adequate revenue to cover the costs of operations and maintenance. On October 12, 2021, HDR Engineering, under contract with Santa Fe County, presented to the board on a completed study of the county's current water connection fee approach and proposed water and sewer utility expansion charges. Then on October 26, 2021, the board approved publishing title and general summary of a further amendment to ordinance number 1998-16 to update water service rates and charges through use of utility expansion charges. And a summary of the utility expansion charges is, it consists of a one-time charge required of all new customers desiring or existing customers requesting an increase in the level of service. The sewer UEC is set at a rate of $1,635 for a 5/8 meter. The amount for a larger meter is equal to this base amount multiplied by the American Water Works Association's accepted ratio of the capacity of the larger meter to a 5/8 meter. This ordinance will amend Section 6E of ordinance number 1998-16 to provide a utility expansion charge with reference to the rate schedule in Exhibit A. And Section 3 of Exhibit A in ordinance number 1998-16, replacing this section with the sewer service utility expansion charges consistent with the presentation provided on October 12, 2021. At the October 12 board meeting, a reduced UEC rate for affordable housing was discussed. Section 13.6 or .6.4 of the SLDC describes affordable housing relief that exempts them from water connection charges and this section will also apply to water UECs. Staff will bring forward a future update of the SLDC to provide the same exemption for sewer UECs if directed to do so by the BCC. The requested action is approval of the ordinance as proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Before we open public comment, I'm sure the chair will be back shortly, but before we open public comment, are there any questions of the board? Not yet. So we're going to go ahead and open public comment. Is there anybody present on WebEx that wishes to speak to this ordinance? Daniel or Tessa Jo, or is there anybody signed up or that appears to be present on the WebEx that might want to speak to this ordinance?
Madam Chair, I am not seeing any type of notification signifying that anybody wants to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Nevertheless, I will once again, is there anybody who wishes to make a public comment on this ordinance?
Madam Chair, I am now seeing Mr. Mee is raising his hand.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed the name, but
Mr. William Mee.
thank you. Mr. Mee, would you like to make a comment on this, please?
Is this the ordinance?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. This is on the sewer ordinance?
Oh, yes. In our field,
Mr. Mee, if you're going to make a comment, please get sworn in and then state your name and address. So we'll have our deputy clerk swear you in.
Mr. Mee, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, before you testify, please state your name, address, and that you are under oath for your testimony to be considered valid.
Yes, William Mee, 2073 Samuel Montoya, and that's in Mexico, and I am under oath.
Thank you.
And, in our field village, we're very busy, trying to get our sewer projects done. And we're very grateful to Santa Fe County for backing that proposals and for our Commissioner Anna Hansen helping us out along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mee. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in support or opposition of this ordinance? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. I'm going to go to commissioners. Are there any commissioners that have comments or questions? Okay, so we're still under discussion, so I'm sorry. Okay, anything else? No? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hansen?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hansen, a second from Commissioner Hughes. Under discussion, Commissioner Garcia?
Mr. Chair, John, thank you. So I have a question. This is actually for all sewer hookups, our Fria Village, the SDLC area, anybody that connects to a community sewer system, these are the rates, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I believe that is correct.
So I know this. So what about standby fees for sewer connection? If there's a sewer that runs down a road, are people going to be charged standby fees because that is the norm nationwide, right?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, the county does not have sewer standby fees.
So, Mr. Chair, John, will we have standby fees as we do for our utility, water utility?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, that's something that we would evaluate at the next rate study, and if desirable, we can very well implement standby fees, and it is a standard practice, and that's something that we can look at if it's desired.
Thank you. So for my clarification, this outlet that we plug into the adapter for our cars, the cigarette lighter, it used to be a cigarette lighter. Cars don't have cigarette lighters anymore, thank God. So this is actually roughly about 3/4 of an inch. The cigarette lighter itself is actually about 1 inch in diameter. So in order to get sewage from your residence to a trunk line, or to get sewer to the sewer line, a 6-8 inch line in the road, so that roughly needs to be about a 2-inch line to get sewage from your home to that line, or a 4-inch line. So if we need to install a 4-inch line from my single-family residence to the trunk line on the road there, 4 inches is going to cost me $40,000, right, to connect to that source system?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, this would be based off the water meter size, and often sewer lines do not have a meter, so it's one of the main reasons why sewer meters are not used for the purpose of assessing UEC value.
Good. So then, once again, if I have a 1-inch line that goes to my residence, I'm going to be paying $4,000 hookup to the sewer.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, if you had a 1-inch water meter, irrelevant of the water line size, we would charge you for the 1-inch amount, which, and this is assuming sewer UEC, it would be apologize, I don't have my chart as handy as I thought I did. There we go. $4,087.50.
Thank you. What, Mr. Chair, John, what happens if there is no, if you have a well? How do we go about charging sewer connection fee if you don't have a meter, an existing meter? We have my family has an old well since 1980, and I want to connect to the sewer system on my front yard. What's the charge?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, there is a section B that accounts for that scenario, and it says in the event the development does not have a water meter, or the director believes that the size of the water meter does not accurately reflect wastewater generation, the developer may submit, or the director may require the submission of a study prepared by a professional engineer to determine the charge listed in the above table.
Mr. Chair, John, so is the developer considered homeowner as well? I look at it as a developer of 5 or more lots. So if Mr. Jones actually has a well, he wants to connect in the sewer line that runs in front of his road, he's going to need to do a study, and then at that time the study will determine what the cost is for the connection to that sewer line if he has a well.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, this does use the language may, and I would consult with the county attorney if there was a request to not submit a study, and in a scenario where it's a single home, I think that that's likely to lend itself to not need a study, and would verify with our county attorney that that would be allowed, and I would support not having a study for a single home.
I guess I just want to make sure, Mr. Chair, that we're all consistent as into whether it's, because everybody in the Agua Village, not everybody has that Agua Fria water system, and that's just one example of individuals throughout the community that have a well and don't have community water. So I just want to see how we're going to treat those individual, not developers, those individual homeowners that actually need to be and want to be connected to a sewer system. So should we take out the study may? Because if a new director comes here in the next 5-7 years, they might have a different approach or definition of what may or may not be.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I would also point out that it doesn't say the level of study that's required, and generally you do have an engineer who helps you with your home plans and estimating what size sewer line to install, et cetera. And that would be sufficient information to be able to provide some additional justification on the correlation to the size water meter that it would be equivalent to. So I don't think it would be a significant additional burden when in that scenario, but at the same time, whenever it's a straightforward answer, I would want to suggest that you leave it to the director's discretion because there's a lot of variables that can occur, and ultimately the burden is on whoever is doing the development to justify the request that they're making.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Did we have any other questions or comments on discussion? Okay, seeing none. We have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please? Deputy Madam Clerk?
Of course. Commissioner Anna Hansen,
Yes.
Commissioner Hank Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Anna Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Rudy Garcia.
Record, I want everybody in Alberta to get connected to the sewer, and sometimes there's a lot of families, as Commissioner Hansen knows, that have been there for many, many years, and these connection fees may put a burden on those families, but I just want to, like I said, I'm totally for the sewer system, which is needed in the village, and it just concerns me that there's not really a standard price yet for every individual that's going to connect that is off of a well, but yes, vote yes for this.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia.
And Chair Roybal.
Yes. So this item passes unanimously. Can we get a ordinance number for this one, please?
This is ordinance number 2021-06.
2021-06, thank you. Okay, so we're on to item number 11C, and this is an ordinance adopting 2021 redistricting plan for Santa Fe County Commission districts based upon 2020 U.S. Census, reassigning precincts to the 5 commission districts in accordance with the redistricting plan, amending ordinance number 1989-10, and repealing ordinance number 2011-8. From the Growth Management Department, we have Mr. Earl Wright.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Again, just a quick review. The 2020 census revealed Santa Fe County had a base population of 154,823 persons. And what this translates to is ideally we need commission districts, since we have 5, divided into just under 31,000 population, 30,965 persons per district would be the ideal situation. In reviewing our current districts, District 2 with 32,845 persons was actually 18,881 people over that ideal number, and that's about 6%. Also, Districts 3 and 4 with populations of 29,174 and 29,190 persons respectively were essentially about just under 1,800 persons under that 5%. So they were about 5.78% and 5.73% under. Thus the need to redistrict. And as you know, we have the will of the commission was to do fairly simple redistricting. What we looked at was just moving precincts within the incorporated area of the city of Santa Fe. Both options before you tonight do that. We only move 3 precincts between the 5 districts. And so essentially Again, the only difference between option 1 and option 2 is which precinct moves out of Commission District 1 into Commission District 4. That would either be precinct 30 or precinct 130. The other districts, again, District 5 would lose a precinct, precinct 29 into District 4 to bring its population up. And the other one that's consistent between the two plans is a precinct would move from District 2, that's precinct 145, and that would move into District 3. So essentially what we're doing is we need to amend the 1889-10 ordinance, which established the 5 commission districts, which were formerly just 3. And we also need to repeal ordinance 2011-8. And so with that, Commissioners, I'll stand for any questions you may have or that the public may have regarding these 2 options.
Okay, do we have any questions from the commission? No questions? Okay, so I know that there's two in the 2 districts in regards to Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Hansen. There's not any, that's already been decided, it looks like, so we don't have any additional things to consider. I know in our last meeting, Commissioner Hansen brought up that she wanted to bring back District 130, and because originally we had presented as District 30. You know, I've talked to Commissioner Hamilton, and we still, you know, we looked at what was brought forward during that discussion, and I know that all of our precincts have communities that have a lot of development and some of them that aren't as developed, and so that's just the mix of our districts in general. So I want to, you know, see if the board would entertain just doing a coin toss to make that decision on which district goes to that, but I do want to get comments from the board, and you know, that could be decided with a coin toss and just 50-50 chance of which district goes which direction, but I do want to get feedback from the board and see how the board feels about doing that. Is there any questions or comments, Commissioner Hansen?
So I just wanted to let you know that in September, I had also brought forward Precinct 130. So, and these are the minutes and the page. So I just wanted to share those with you so you could see that this was not a new idea.
Mr. Chair, do we have a public hearing on this item as well?
Yes, we will. So that is one idea, but I wanted to see if the board had any thoughts as to, or comments.
So I just wanted to let you know, because there was some mention that I would just bringing this up, and so I wanted to just show you in the record that, you know, I had brought this up in September, that there were 2 precincts and that you were going to look at them. It's down right at the bottom. There's not a lot, there wasn't a lot of discussion. I thought it was interesting tonight that Commissioner Hamilton brought forward the food policy resolution because Precinct 130 would actually put the farmer's market in her district. And for some reason, her district, for the last couple of years, has supported the food policy and has done a lot of work with the farmers market in the past. I know Commissioner Holian worked.
Absolutely.
And so I was just supporting that idea of Precinct 130 moving into your district. And
okay. Commissioner Garcia?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Chair, I didn't hear you. What was you talking about, the food policy resolution?
Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting because over the years, District 4 has been a huge supporter of the farmers market, and Precinct 130 actually has the farmers market in it.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I don't understand what's that about.
I'm just making a connection. It's just a comment.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, you said precinct 130. Are you talking about precinct 30?
No, I'm talking about
130.
precinct.
Okay.
Option 2.
All right. So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, you're still wanting to, what's your proposal is option number 2, correct?
Well, I'm just suggesting that I like the idea that Commissioner Hamilton will continue to be next to my district right there, so also.
So on this minutes that you passed out, it says, Commissioner, it looks like there's a precinct 130 and precinct 30 that are both connected to Commissioner Hamilton's district that would be kind of clean. And I replied and said 130 and 30, and you replied either one of those. But so you suggested, or it was a suggestion of those two, but I thought on here you said there was somewhere where you said you thought 130 should be.
No, I just
Okay.
wanted to mention that I had brought that up in September.
Okay.
Madam Chair, so this is something that the commissioner or policymakers is going to look at for the next 10 years. And is your rationale to have Commissioner Hamilton next to you? Is that what your rationale is for option number 2?
Yeah, I like that idea. I can have.
No, so honestly, what is your rationale for option number 2, for your recommendation, other than having Commissioner Hamilton next to you?
I think it's a nice, clean cut, and Commissioner Roybal was concerned about losing constituents, and so he loses less constituents with option 2.
I'm actually going to be nice, and I will defer to the 2 commissioners that this district actually is District 1 and District 4. These are the 2 commissioners that should have say-so in this district, and for us to start throwing, I think I should take that precinct over there and put it over here because I want to be next to Commissioner Hamilton. I don't buy that, Commissioner Hanson, I'm sorry.
Okay, fine.
And
Whatever.
so, hold on, I have the floor. And so the whole rationale you still haven't explained to me in my mind as into what your rationale is for moving 130. And it's not about who lives there, who doesn't live there. I'm just interested in why would you pick that district instead of District Precinct 30?
Those were the 2 precincts that when I looked at the map in September and I saw that there were 2 precincts that were a clean cut, those were the 2, 130 and 30, that were not separate. Councilor Lindell lives, I believe, in precinct, I'm not sure, 123. She was just kind of interested. She asked me about it. Or she might even live in 30, I don't know. I don't know where she lives. She just asked me, because she asked me also about the tax bill.
Okay. And I know that in the past, I think we've all sponsored the food policy resolution coming forward. It's come forward for quite a few years. So, and I think probably every single commissioner here would like to, have the farmers market because, I mean, it's a culture. It's part of our culture. I mean,
absolutely.
We all live in rural areas, and we all are very strong advocates of farm to table, and working in that way. So I think that it's something as an interest to all of the to the commission. But I'd like to go to public comment and see if we have anybody on public comment that would like to speak on this item. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in support or opposition to this ordinance? If you're on WebEx, you can unmute yourself and state your name for the record and be sworn in. And if you're a call-in participant, you hit *6 and unmute yourself. Okay, once again, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in support or opposition of this ordinance? Tessa Jo, do you see anybody from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lee had his hand up.
I'm sorry, was that William Mee? William Mee, can you state your
Yes.
name? And if he was sworn in previously, does he need to be sworn in again?
Madam Chair, or excuse me, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I think it would be adequate if he states his name and record and acknowledges that he's still under oath.
Thank you, Attorney Schaefer. Go ahead, Mr. Mee.
William Mee, 2073 Camino Samuel Montoya, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I am still under oath. And I had followed this issue quite a bit back in September. I haven't looked at the any other changes to it, but I did think that precinct 30 was a good one to have in District 1. But I'm not that familiar with the newer proposals, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mee. So your statement was that you felt that that District 30 was a good one to stay in District 1. Is that correct? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the commission on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to commissioners. If there's not any other comments, I'll ask Commissioner Hamilton, if you have a preference, if not, we can go to a coin toss, but I'll leave it up to you. And I think that either way, I know that any of the precincts I get pulled out of my precinct, I know that you're a great commissioner and that you'll represent those constituents very well. So I'm confident of that.
Well, I really appreciate that, and the fact is, I would say the same thing back to you. And I have there's some not benefit, but like appeal to doing a coin toss, because it's very hard to know which one to pull in. I mean, actually, I might feel a little guilty taking the farmer's market for you, but there's an appeal to that, right? So
The state capitol is also in that precinct.
Does that mean I should take it or leave it? This is like playing poker, or maybe it's like playing Go Fish,
I think you should take it.
So I have the offer on the table to flip a coin and not have the hard decision be anybody's, but there again, I defer to you. It's your decision and my decision, but I think that at the end of the day, I'm going to lose constituents, and
and I'm going to gain them, but they'll be in good hands.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, that said, that makes 130. That would be option 2. a good, you know, a good choice. If you object, I'm fine with that. If not, I would move for option 2.
Move for option 2. So we have a motion from Commissioner Hamilton for option 2, and a second from Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor, or actually, we're going to go to a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk?
All right, for option 2, Commissioner Anna Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Rudy Garcia, should I come back to you, sir? Okay. Okay. Commissioner Anna Hansen,
Yes.
Commissioner Hank Hughes,
Yes.
Chair Henry Ball,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rudy Garcia.
Okay, so we have all yeses, so we're adopting option 2, is that correct? And can we get a ordinance number for this one?
Of course, this is ordinance number 2021-07.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk, or Deputy Madam Clerk. Okay, so earlier we had a summary of what we were going to go into executive session for.
Mr. Chair, could I
did
do
you
one more
have,
thing? And now-
Manager Miller?
So
Sorry, I can't hear two people
earlier,
at once.
even earlier than Greg's summary of executive session, you had a resolution for consideration under matters from the county manager, item 8E.
Okay, we can go to
And
that
that
one.
was the resolution identifying Santa Fe County legislative 2022 legislative priorities. So Tessa Joe and the attorneys worked on the requests, and so I have a revised resolution, and we added to the resolution that was stated before under item 2 in the recitals, the moratorium on evictions. We added a sentence to the end of that recital. In addition, authorize courts to delay eviction for responsible or for reasonable period while tenants actively pursue rental assistance from programs for which they appear to be eligible. And I checked with Commissioner Hughes, that was his requested addition, and he said that that sounded good. And then Commissioner
Madam, would you read that again? I had my earpiece out and it fell out, so.
Sure. So it says moratorium on evictions, and we had support the expansion of the local moratorium. But then we added to that paragraph, in addition, authorize courts to delay eviction for reasonable periods while tenants actively pursue rental assistance from programs for which they appear to be eligible. And then we had 2 other additions. So we originally had 9 items, now we have 11. And number 10 is support the protection and enhancement of pollinator species and their habitat. That's in bold. And then the description under that is supporting action to make property pollinator friendly, including planting pollinator friendly, regionally appropriate plants, and avoiding the use of pesticides known to kill pollinators, and supporting coordinated regional, statewide, and national action to protect pollinator species in order to implement the objectives set forth in Santa Fe County Resolution number 2020-51. And then paragraph 11 was funding for NMED and EMNRD. And that's support funding for the New Mexico Environment Department and Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources Department to ensure that they are funded and staffed adequately to meet their statutory duties. So it was the resolution exactly as before, and then with those 3 additions. And I would stand for any questions, and if not, if the board could approve this, then we would have a fully executed resolution for our meeting with the legislators, and then we'll have a draft for the sustainability initiatives.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hanson?
First, thank you very much to my colleagues and to the attorneys and Manager Miller for adding those items, and especially the support the moratorium. And with that, I would like to make a motion to move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hanson, a second from Commissioner Hughes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia?
Just wanted to make a comment, not related to anything on the agenda item, but I don't know, Earl, if this is the last time we'll see you in a public hearing, because I do have some other endeavors, but I'd just like to thank you for what the things that you did for our GIS department. When we actually did only have, when I worked for the assessors, we actually used ink pens to do our mapping, and you have actually been very instrumental in bringing our GIS department to probably top in the state. And I'd just like to thank you publicly for what you did. You had a lot of vision, and you did a very good job for our GIS department, and some hard shoes to follow. And just thank you, Earl.
Absolutely, thank you. I had no, are you, I guess you have future endeavors, but I wasn't aware that you're leaving the county?
I have 26 years in, Mr. Chairman, so.
That's okay. Hey,
It'll at least be your last redistricting, right?
Yeah, probably my last round of redistricting, that's for sure.
Well, we thought it would be easy. It turned out a little bit more difficult than we originally thought, but you know, great work. You know, we really do appreciate you. And we did bring in a resolution up earlier that maybe we'll be able to see you come back. Thank you, Earl. You've been instrumental to the county, and you know your service is really appreciated. When are you planning?
That's, Mr. Chair, that's still to be determined.
Oh, yay.
Good.
So you got me for a little bit.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We do appreciate you, and we're going to hold on to you as long as we can. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. Absolute pleasure to work for the county. Has been a great place to have a career. Great family and coworkers to work with, and awesome elected officials. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I'm going to go back to earlier we had got a summary of what we were going to an executive session for, including the housekeeping item. We did have a motion relative to that earlier, so I'd like to ask for a motion once again.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, wait a minute. Did we not?
Did you vote on this resolution?
Yeah, we did. Wait, we did had a motion and a second, and we did vote, right? And we voted, okay.
Yes, but I think we need a number.
That's why I didn't get it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, can we get a resolution number?
Yes, it would be Resolution 2021-110.
It's been a long day. Thank you. So, as I was saying earlier, we did have a summary to go into executive session, including a housekeeping item that Attorney Schaefer mentioned. So I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't believe there's any other items of business on the agenda, so unless there are matters in the reports from departments that the board would like to have staff remain for, again, your motion to go into executive session could include a motion to adjourn the open meeting and simply go into executive session as the last order of business.
Absolutely. So do I
Mr.
hear a
Chair?
motion, Commissioner Hamilton?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we go into an executive session for the item, to discuss the items that Attorney Schaefer read into the record earlier, and that we conclude business with that and not rejoin in public meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hamilton. Do I hear a second? And a second from Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor signify by saying bye. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.